Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass live in living color here with you tonight, only on Grande's Graveyard. And yes, my friends, tonight it is a Trilogy of Terror retrospective, and I figured I couldn't handle this job alone. No, a trilogy needs to have a trio in the house reviewing it. And we've got not just any posse, but an East Coast posse. First and foremost, to my immediate left, right, up, down. I don't know, doing the hokey pokey, the son of a bitch. You know him. You love him. The greatest Twilight Zone reviewer in the whole wide world of YouTube. He is Fever Dreamland Theater, a.k.a. Anthony. Welcome, buddy.
Oh, my God, dude. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to be here, and very happy to be here with Mr. Dan again. It's been a minute. So
yeah, absolutely. And of course, no better intro to him. Below us right here, his first ever time on Grande's Graveyard, a longtime friend of the channel, longtime friend, period. The one, the only, Mr. Dan from Mr. Dan and Horror. What's going on, Dan?
Hey, everybody. How you doing? I'm glad we can, the three of us can finally collaborate. We talked about doing it a while ago when I was on with Anthony, and you couldn't quite join us, but that was like the seeds of it. And then when Trilogy of Terror came up, it was almost like instantaneous. It was like, that's the topic.
Yeah, no, I was so excited, because you had reached out to me a little while ago to do Night Gala review with the two of you guys. And obviously, Anthony and I, we're big Twilight Zone fans. And, when you guys did that, I was so upset I couldn't make it. So I said, I got to, in the back burner here, I want to make it up to them here. And Trilogy of Terror came up, and I said, we got a Trilogy of Terror. We got a trio here. We're East Coast guys. So I was like, this would be the perfect time to get them on the graveyard and talk about all the segments. So we're going to go through, of course, both movies, Trilogy of Terror, the original from 1975, and the sequel from my birth year of 1996. And funny enough, I share a birthday with this guy right here. We're both
that's right.
We're December 23rd babies.
December 24th.
I guess that's the day where the cool YouTubers are born. I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, we're a couple years apart, but
just a couple, just to go.
So we have three Capricorns.
I think we do.
Yeah, I guess we do.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
We all got that devil in us, but we got some comments. Miss C is here. Ciao, Grande and Graveyardi friends. It's time to feel the terror. Oh, yes. Michelle Parsons, all the way from Nova Scotia. Happy Thursday, Grande and Co. Happy Thursday, Michelle. First time name in the house, Jim Tatro 6550. Welcome, Jim. If I ever do a remake of Grand Theft Auto, Eat My Dust, or Death Race 2000, I'm definitely hiring Grande to play the DJ. Well, I very much appreciate that, my friend. I hope I can live up to the DJ standard there. Iron Sabbath 1188. Arthur's in the house. I love a good anthology. Anthony, I love your reviews. Welcome, Arthur. Yeah, Anthony's reviews, man. If you haven't caught any of them, I highly recommend in the description below you can subscribe to both these guys. Fever Dreamland Theater. Anthony does great Twilight Zone content, and not just that, great top 10 videos on Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side. Or do you have any top 10s planned coming up? Because I think we were talking about.
Yeah, actually, the Tales from the Dark Side I did. Tales from the Crypt is in progress. I have a couple of your episodes, your favorite episodes. Those were sort of my starting point, and spoiler alert, a lot of them are going to end up in my top 10. So yeah, that's in progress. That's in progress, actually. Thank you.
That's very cool. Okay, and then to anybody that wants to subscribe to Mr. Dan, Mr. Dan just hit a milestone of 1,000 subscribers. So I say we clap it up a little bit for Mr. Dan. 1K, man, get him over the hump. Keep him over the hump. 1K. Click that description below, and you can subscribe to both these awesome guys. Mateo is here. Ciao, Grande, Dan, and Anthony. Trilogy of Terror is a cult classic. Karen Black is just fantastic in each segment. Creepy and intense. Would love to have my own Zuni doll. Hi to the whole graveyard chat. Yeah, we'll talk all about that Zuni doll. I don't know about you guys. I see them, I feel like, at every convention I go to, and they're holy cow. I've always wanted to buy one, but they just go for absurd money, especially the good quality ones. Have you ever seen them out in the wild?
I haven't seen them in the wild. I'm curious to hit up like Etsy or something like that. Find something maybe fan made. If it exists and it's reasonably priced, I'd buy it. Watching these two things made me sort of like fall in love with it again. So I think I want one.
Yeah, it's infectious. It's kind of like, because I saw one in Chicago, and it was almost exact, and I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and get this. And I turned it around and said it was $360. I was like, buddy, no goddamn way.
Yeah, I don't. Has anyone like mass produced it? NECA or anybody. I don't know that. It seems to be like more of a niche thing, which is why it would have those higher prices.
I've seen like vendors create their own, and some of
Yeah.
them do a great job. Granted, some of them they look rather cheap, paper mache, what have you. But man, some of them do a great job with it. And the funny thing is, when we get to the second Trilogy of Terror, this was in fact the same doll from the first movie, just 21 years later. Dan Curtis kept it and then preserved it, and it was like, I want to use this as much as we can. So that's a big reason why the doll kind of looks exactly the same, if not as perfect. It's because it was the same one. They didn't have to redesign it. Triple H is in the house. Triple H, Horrorhead, Heather 85. Hey, Grande, Miss C, Michelle, Anthony, Dan. We're saying hi to everybody in the house tonight. Mark's in the house. Hello, new phone. Who dis? Welcome, Mark. Hope all is well. Hey, Triple H. People saying hello, everyone. Kenny Jones. That's another first-time name in the graveyard. Welcome, Kenny. Hope all is well with you.
My buddy from Philly, right there.
Oh, from Philly. There you go. Represent Philadelphia. Capricorn crew. Hell yeah, that's us, man. Capricorns all the way. January 15th for me. Hell, look at this. Can't wait. Huge Crypt fan. Yeah, I don't know a bigger Tales from the Crypt fan than Arthur. This is really cool. People saying hi. Congrats on 1K, Dan. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dr. Howdy 6664. What's up, boys? What's up, Graveyard fam? What's up, Will? Hope all's well with you. Slasher Fred says, I love Trilogy of Terror. Karen Black is so great at playing these three different characters. Yeah, no, I'm excited to get into all things Karen Black and Lisette Anthony tonight. We got Texas THC 1965. Ola Grande, Mr. Dan, Mr. Fever. Tons of fun people here. What's up, Graveyard? Mock, the Love Machine, baby. The Love Machine is here. I'll put money. The Trick or Treat will do one eventually. Yeah, that's true. Where there's money to be had and made, they're gonna do it, right? Yeah. Still be $500. Let's hope not. I hope it's not no $500. That's just too much damn money. Tons of people saying hi. I'm just trying to get to the end here. Chris is in the house. Beef or Stew. What's going on? What's up, El Loco Grande? What's up, buddy? Hey, fellas, connected. I think that's Connor. Welcome, Connor. I'm going to say goodbye, everyone, to be different. Oh, boy. What's up, fellas? Ryan, the Hitman Hanley's in the house. Welcome, Ryan. Okay, before we get underway with our Trilogy of Terror reviews, we're going to have a lot to discuss tonight. I'm really excited to have these guys on the show. We've got to initiate Mr. Dan and Grande's Graveyard, because that's what I'm trying to do as of late, get the people that have never been on here initiated in a fun way. So I've got not one, but two questions for you, Mr. Dan. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready. I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right, let's do it. So first question for you, since we're on the theme of anthology tonight, and since I'm sitting with Mr. Twilight Zone to my left here, top 4 Twilight Zone episodes of all time.
Oh, my gosh. Well, let's see. It's a Good Life, which I do want to bring up. I have a tangent for that later, but It's a Good Life for sure. I'm gonna go. I got a strange one here, and I can't remember the name of it. 80s Twilight Zone. Sherman Hemsley and Ron Glass are in
Devil.
The Devil.
Here's the Devil episode.
The Devil episode.
Yeah. Not sure of the name of it, but I know it's a really good little segment. Good little.
It's like 10 minutes, and it's just, you can tell the two of them are just having the time of their lives, just to see them all play off of each other. I know that's like, kind of out there. Let's see. I guess I'll go with. You know what? I'll go whenever I'm doing a live stream, I cannot remember the most basic things. But let's see. In Praise of Pip.
Oh,
Okay.
Jack Klugman. Oh, that one's a tearjerker.
Gotta have a Klugman. That's a rough one. That's
Seems
a good
like
one.
you're a big Billy Mooney fan too. That's the second Billy Mooney episode you bring up. That's
Oh,
true.
yeah. How about that? Forgot about that, part of it. And then I'll go with I guess I'll go with Willoughby.
Wow.
That is a top 10er for me. Willoughby is good. That's quite a top 4. I'm actually happy you integrated the 80s Twilight Zone in there. I feel like when you say 80s Twilight Zone and Devil, the one that came to mind for me for some reason was the Morgan Freeman one where they're all playing cards with the devil.
That's a great
You
one.
remember that one?
Yeah.
What a cast!
Yeah.
What a great cast!
It's like A-list actors playing poker with the devil. It's such a good episode.
Seinfeld's dad,
Right.
Harry Morris, Dan Hedaya. I mean, it's like, wow, yeah.
It's really a who's who. That's such a cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to. The one that you mentioned with Stephen Glass, I don't remember that one. It didn't hit memory in my head there. So I'm gonna have to look that one up and check that out. But very good top four. I think. Do you approve, Mr. Fever Dreamland Theater? I think that's quite top.
I think I like that. It's a wide variety there. Just throwing in the '80s one or off the bat, and even with the Twilight Zones, there's some different ones in there. All great ones. It's hard to you're talking to me, so it's hard to find a bad Twilight Zone I don't like. But great picks.
Yeah, some great picks. Okay, and then second question to initiate you, Mr. Dan. I gotta have it. Give me your top 3 horror memorabilia items.
Oh, horror memorabilia.
Because you got quite a setup behind you. I can't lie.
I mean my creature from the Black Lagoon mask from Monster Resurrection. It's just it was kind of like once I got into the channel and I was doing it for a couple months. I had gotten a couple T-shirts. And I was just like, all right, I saw it. I think it was like a father and son. I think at the time, Cash was like 14 or 15. He was like, really, he was, I don't know if he was the one that did this mask, but he was actually producing a lot of the molds himself. So I said, all right, it's a little more of an expensive item. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that one. And then I would say, I got to include, well, all right, let me grab something here.
Yeah, there you go. Go for it. Don't be shy, Mr. Dan.
I'll include this. I was going to say the crazy thing, the thing that got me into my first channel, which was about Hot Wheels and die-cast cars, was the Universal Monsters, because they had a set at ShopRite. And I saw it in a newspaper, and I was like, wow, I didn't know they did crossovers like that. So I got those. But since I don't have those up here, I'm going to go with this. It's not Hot Wheels. It's Johnny Lightning, but it's the Munsters coach, complete with spider web. Oh, wait a minute. That didn't come with it.
I'll give you the full screen here. Hold on.
The Munsters coach.
Dude, that's nice. Still in the package, too.
Yep, still in the package. It's one of their frightening lightnings.
Nice.
So,
I love that. I have the grandpa one. It's the Grandpa Munster, and it's still in the case too. It's
really I think cool. I have grandpa. Yeah, I've got a grandpa over there too. So that'll be my. I could go on with diecast cars, but that'll be my representation for those. How many more do I got?
Two? One more.
One more. I guess I'll go with. Let's see. I'll probably go with one of my Gilman. I know I already mentioned the creature, but I've got one of these out of the package, and then this one is a glow-in-the-dark one.
Oh, no way.
And this is from NECA. So I'm not from NECA, excuse me. This is from Jada.
Okay.
And I got this right when they were sort of getting into making these figures, because they were mostly known for die-cast cars too back then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I saw, I was watching other people's videos of their NECA figures, and I've got the NECA creature up there too. But I said, well, let me give these guys a shot and see what their figures are like. So I've got all their Universal Monsters so far. So yeah,
very cool, man. I like. See, actually, I'm happy we did this, because I never realized how big of a Creature from the Black Lagoon fan you are. Like, I feel like a bad friend right now. I didn't know. I had no idea, man. This is crazy. You're a big fan of the original film, I'm assuming?
Yep. Oh yeah. I love the Creature. Probably, I would say that, and maybe the Wolfman are my two favorite. Sort of go back and forth, but I've got all the legacy sets from Universal. I just got that. There's a documentary that it's been out for a good 15 years or so, but it was on Amazon for a decent price. So me and my friends, like Kenny and Jim, who were in the chat, they're all my friends from Talking Movies with Sean, Kenny, and Jim. They're on every other Tuesday night, and they were messaging me about it. So a few of us picked it up. I haven't watched it yet, and apparently, I don't know if it's a special feature or they just talk about it, but they have some of the footage from Abbott and Costello meet the Creature, which is how the Creature got introduced. It was on the Abbott and Costello show, and it's always driven me nuts that if you wanted that 15-minute segment, you had to buy a separate DVD. I don't know why that wasn't a special feature in the legacy set. You know what I mean? Like, it's only 15 minutes, but apparently at least some of that is in the documentary. So yeah, I'm a big Creature fan.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, let's get to some more of these comments, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes here. AJ Zetro checks in. Hey, all. What's up, AJ? Hope all is well. That little voodoo doll traumatized me in 1975 when I was 8 years old. I still freaks me out 50 years later. Yeah, isn't that crazy? This movie's 51 years old or about to come. I mean, that's talk about the test of time, really. Capricorn, rule the graveyard. I'm a Capricorn too. Holy shit, I didn't realize how many. This is, you know why? I think Granny's graveyard is just officially a cult. You have to be a Capricorn. The Invaders is the best you haters. Oh, no, yeah, I remember Anthony and I, we reviewed the Invaders. I gave it a low score. Anthony went to bat for it, though, if I'm not mistaken. Stop It, Willoughby, classic, one of the best ones. People saying hi. My favorite Twilight Zone 80s episode is Wishful Bank, where these boys encounter a leprechaun. I've not seen that one. You guys familiar with that one?
I sort of vaguely remember that, but
a little bit. I'd have to rewatch it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The one with Kamal Nanjiani as a comedian has got to be that's from the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone. That wasn't terrible.
Going here.
It wasn't bad.
That wasn't a bad episode.
It really wasn't. I was like, we might be okay. And then more episodes came out. FDT, are you a 80s motel in an 80s motel room? Is there dead hooker there? Yeah, explain the background for us, Anthony.
The background, I'm hoping Karen Black walks in, put it that way. It's from Trilogy of Terror. It's from the first one. It's her bedroom. That's
the apartment in the Amelia segment, right? Which is I like it. I think that's pretty cool. Anthony's very festive. I think he's a little daring though. The Zuni fetish could pop up. Love hearing a mask company be called out. Dan, yeah, hell yeah. Dan's got a cool little collection there. Anthony Chabot, I8W, almost up to 2023 in the memoirs. Welcome, Anthony. My friend 3D printed me a custom creature from the Black Lagoon figure. Pretty awesome. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I reviewed that. I did a Monster Mash special like a year ago, and that movie doesn't get enough love. Like, I know all the Universal Monster movies really do. That's the odd duckling out. That and the original Mummy, I feel like never get talked about. They're both really, really good. Mm-hmm. Great taste, Mr. Dan. I do love Me the Invisible Man, though. Okay, hey, I think there's plenty of reviews. Yeah. The Wolfman. Thanks for the plug, Dan. Yeah, absolutely. Kenny, if you want to drop your channel in here, my friend, feel free. Just throw it in the chat if anyone wants to give Kenny and company a little subscribe here. But I think we've been at this long enough, my friends. Let's dive into it. Let's dive in to the year 1975 and the little TV movie that could. I got this cool little newspaper clipping from that year, from 1975. Dan Curtis directs Karen Black in Trilogy of Terror. Yes, Trilogy of Terror. Brief plot synopsis. 3 bizarre horror stories, all of which star Karen Black in 4 different roles, playing 4 different tormented women. Yes, Trilogy of Terror. Now, man, I got to know, do you remember the first time you were introduced to this movie? Because 51 years later, and it's still a big deal, kind of. It's actually kind of crazy the legacy this movie has.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll start it real quick. I think for me, this one, if I saw it on TV as a kid, I forgot about it. So I caught it or I caught it again many, many years later, probably as like a rental or something like that, and sort of fell in love with it again that way. And I've caught it a few times on streaming since then. So that's sort of my first experience of it. And I rewatched it again for this stream, and I'm happy to talk about it again because there's like you have that final segment. I don't want to get too detailed. That's still my favorite. But now that first segment, like I feel like I appreciate it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So
how about you, Dan?
Yeah. But
I don't remember the first time I watched it. Like I remember specifically, like I remember watching Duel with my mom. Which it was a rerun. It wasn't the initial broadcast, but it was, within that decade. I don't remember the first time I watched Trilogy of Terror. Mm-hmm. I do, I did see it at some point, probably before I hit like college age. And then years ago, like I was saying, it was on the Newcastle After Dark channel. When I watched it on there, it just, a lot of it felt familiar. So I apparently had seen it before. Obviously, some of it stands out more than, some parts stand out more than others and stayed in your mind, like Jim said, you know what I mean? So I was almost questioning, like, wait a minute, which movie was that in at first? I was like, because it sometimes in my mind I would say Trilogy of Terror, and then I would say it was like Tales from the Crypt. I would get like some of the segments mixed up. I mean, I've got it all straight now, but back then I was almost like, which one is which, So yeah.
Yeah, I could see that for sure, how they kind of run together with other, anthology shows, segments, what have you at that time. And to piggyback on what Anthony said, yeah, no, that's the thing that's always been with Trilogy of Terror is the thing that everyone remembers is the final segment. I mean, that Zuni fetish doll, that classic artwork of the newspaper clipping here, Karen Black. And I mean, it's really become almost bigger than the other two segments itself. It's almost bigger than the movie itself. It's almost remembered as if that was the whole movie, when meanwhile it's just the 1/3 of the trilogy. And I'm with Anthony. When I had actually seen this movie first, I grew up with this movie on the USA channel, and I loved it. And I was like, man, I wish they'd show the first one. And sure enough, I scoured the YouTube land. This is back in the day where YouTube had full movies to watch it. I watched the original movie on YouTube as a kid, and I loved it. I thought it was so good. And I would second what you said. I was kind of like, why do people not talk about that first story? The first story is pretty damn good too, which I guess is a good enough segue to the first story. Now, just a little bit of background as to how this movie came to be. Now, Dan Curtis, to me, in my opinion, is a master of horror. And I know that may not be a sexy choice for people, in the land of Carpenters and Cravens and Cronenbergs and what have you. Those guys are all great too, don't get me wrong. But Dan Curtis, I don't think people realize how influential he was to the genre of horror. Of course, he was the innovator and creator of Dark Shadows, which was the biggest horror soap opera of that time and arguably forever. I mean, that was a huge show in the day. And he had done so many cool things. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen Dan Curtis's Dracula with Jack Palance. That's a really good adaptation.
Was it from the 70s? Was it from the 70s?
I believe it's 1974. I think it was the year prior to this. Really good one. I highly recommend. And Bob Colbert, who does the music here and in the sequel, Trilogy of Terror 2, he worked with him there. And Mr. Dan was mentioning behind the scenes before that Curtis worked with a lot of the same people over and over. He was a common collaborator. He just kind of liked to work with his friends, and tons of cool horror content over the years. And then this was, I think, a big coming out party for Dan Curtis, because in this year he directs Trilogy of Terror. The following year he goes theatrically for Burnt Offerings. And man, this one just struck a nerve, it seemed like. And it's been called the scariest made for TV horror movie of all time. One of the most influential, one of the most memorable. And there's no doubt that it definitely is, 50 plus years later, we're still talking about it. But let's talk about that first story and the whole theme of this anthology, where each segment is named after a different woman. Of course, we have Julie, Millicent and Therese, and Amelia. And all of those wonderful ladies are played by the same lady, Karen Black. I guess before we jump into the story, thoughts on Dan Curtis, thoughts on Karen Black, as a tandem here, because, man, I'm just enamored with that team. I love those two together. But any thoughts on Curtis and Black before we get into the stories?
I would say I wish we got even more from them. Just going off of this, like put it that way. I think that it made for a great collaboration. And I also, we have Matheson in there too, with with the stories being based on a lot of his work. So it was just like, that was like them alone. Like that was like a great trilogy right there, a great trio, I should say, of just really brilliant work. And I'd like to have seen more of it, but I'm glad for what we got. And I'm glad you brought up Burnt Offerings too. That's like another big one.
Yeah, and they thankfully collabed there too. And what's always made me laugh about this movie is that Karen Black didn't want to do it. She in fact turned it down and said, no, that's not for me. But it was her husband at the time, Robert Burton, who stars in the first segment. They were married, and he said, come on, why don't we do it? We'll get to work together. Funny enough, they get divorced before this thing even airs on television. So the whole thing just kind of happened by mistake. She didn't even want to do it. She did it only because of her husband. They were divorced before the thing aired, and the rest is history. This movie kind of changed her life. But do you have any thoughts on Curtis or Karen Black, Mr. Dan?
Yeah, no, Dan Curtis, I mean, he's a legend. Even when, I mean, you're talking also Jekyll and Hyde with Jack Palance,
sure.
Kolchak, two Kolchak movies, and even movies like the Norliss tapes, which was similar to Kolchak. Even when he didn't, not everything sort of gelled. There was a lot of great ideas there, and he had a couple other ones. I can't remember the name of the one with the spider.
Oh my God! Black Curse,
Patty Duke,
something like that. Yeah, Curse of the Black Widow, something.
Curse of the Black Widow, something. It's like that. That is like just a soup of Dan Curtis ideas, and it doesn't quite come together. It's still fun though, And then of course, he would eventually transition into The Winds of War and War of Remembrance, which is kind of funny because that was kind of the stuff that my mom would die for, miniseries like that. And in my little brain back then, I didn't connect it with the guy that created this. But yeah, he's a legend of television, and Karen Black she's fantastic. Even before this, there's an episode of Ghost Story where she gives a really heartfelt performance. She's great in movies like Capricorn 1. Of course, this changed the trajectory of her career, and she would be kind of associated with horror.
Yeah.
Even in some lower budgeted films, but she always delivered. And also just a very interesting looking woman. You know what I mean? Like nobody really looks like her. You know, she's very beautiful, but she's got very much her own look.
That's a great point. Yeah, no, and I would jump right on top and second to that. Where like it's weird. Before this, you see her in really big deal movies, and even she's nominated for Academy Award for 5 Easy Pieces with Jack Nicholson. Also worked a ton with like Robert Duvall, like tons of really big up and coming actors at the time, really big on the independent scene. And it seemed like sky was the limit for Karen Black. And then she does this movie, which us horror fans all love, and then like you said, changed the trajectory, made her like a scream queen overnight. And then did all these horror pictures. But like, I always kind of wonder, like, what would happen? Would Karen Black be as remembered if it wasn't for this movie? Like, I think this has got to be the movie that most people associate her with. And like, I don't think it's any small feat to play the character, the lead in each one of the segments and make them all feel distinctly different too. Like that goes to me, for an actor or actress, that's got to be the most fun challenge in the world. To play, okay, and one I'm evil, and one I'm this damsel in distress, and one I'm a dual role. Like, what the heck? Like, this must have been just such a fun experience for Karen, and I think she knocked it out of the park. And I agree, she does have that distinct look. She's pretty, but there's also like something natural about her too. She's not too glammed, right? But let's kick into this first segment here, Julie, which kicks off the anthology, kind of just jumps you right in. There's no wraparound in Trilogy of Terror, either movie. Just kind of jumps right into the story. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm with you. I think this is pretty underrated. I really like this story. Any initial thoughts on the Julie segment here?
Initial thoughts is like, my God, I was just hooked into this one like right from the beginning, because we get this young student who falls for the teacher. Okay, as guys, maybe we could all relate to at least that much. Like, oh, look, there's a teacher, and she's very attractive. And then that's it. Let's hope that's it. This maniac, it go. Although, well, see, how much are we going to go into spoilers? Is it full on?
Oh, yeah, spoil away. If you haven't seen it in 51 years, you missed the boat.
All right, so he does come off pretty much a monster for obvious reasons throughout the entire segment. And I think he does that really well. And then we get a really fun twist at the end, and he's maybe not exactly the full-on monster. He's still a monster, I'd say. But anyway, it's a thoroughly underrated segment. You're right. I guess it's hard to combat that great little monstrous doll. It's just it sticks in your brain, and it just overshadows the other two segments big time. But I'm a huge fan of this segment, man. I loved it. I liked it, and I like this one a lot more. Like this, like on a more recent rewatch than on a previous watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if this was like an episode of a horror themed show, I think it would be rated pretty high. You would watch this episode and go, okay, this one was a little more subtle, especially if it was like a Tales from the Crypt show that was known for over the top stuff. But it's definitely a little more subtle. It gets under your skin a little bit. The way this guy, just keeps. I mean, it's one thing to say to your buddy, I wonder what she's like under those clothes, but he just, he's roof. He roofies her and he takes pictures and I mean, he's just,
it's all bad.
Yeah, it's bad. And then, there's a pretty good twist. And then even at the end, I almost feel like there's a twist after the twist when a young Gregory Harrison comes in, and he's going to be tutored by this teacher. And she has like kind of a funny look on her face. And it's like, oh, wait, she can not only get revenge on her predator, but she can become the predator.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That, and like I think too, what's so good about this is the sexual tension that Dan Curtis creates between the characters, right? Like right off the bat, it's literally the opening line. He's like, "So look at her, huh?" It's just like, "Oh, all right, here we go." It's really it just kind of jumps right into it, and she's buttoned down, and she's glasses, and holding books, and like she couldn't be any more buttoned up. Literally, if she had a zipper over her face, that would be the last touch, I guess. And then he's constantly kind of pushing and trying to push for the date and to go out and stuff like that. And I thought it was kind of interesting to see a husband and wife work together in this particular, like really interesting to see those two work with one another. And there is some kind of tension there as they go to the drive-through and he puts something in her drink and then takes the pictures of her overnight. Like, holy cow. I thought that was such a dark thing to do, and I don't know if you caught this, he signs into the hotel as Jonathan Harker. I burst out laughing. I was like, what a scumbag. Like,
well, and what are they watching at the movie theater?
No, the Night Stalker, I think.
The Night Stalker.
Right, yeah. So I popped for that too. I was like, oh man, see, like it's fun because Curtis has some fun Easter eggs in there that you might not notice otherwise. Because he had just done Dracula, and then Night Stalker was a couple years before this. So yeah, I thought those are some nice touches. And that ending where she turns on him, right? When she goes from bundled up, such prey victim to I'm bored with you. You're going to die now. You're going to cardiac arrest. Like that's holy shit, man. That turn like on a dime too. Yeah. That's acting 101. I think Karen nailed that.
He had a pretty good death scene too. Like that looked like he was like, with the it worked.
Yeah. And it's in like she didn't go, it's not like she had a secret chamber in her apartment with all her witchcraft items. You know what I mean? Nothing, no dark clouds formed or anything like that. It was she was still in like the real world, and you just kind of realized that she had these kind of powers. It was a very solid ending. Yeah.
I will also say too, I didn't see the twist coming. So for like 99% of the segment, I'm like, oh, this dude's a monster. I'm waiting on the comeuppance. And then we get the twist, and it works even more for me on that level because I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So yeah, like Mr. Dan said, she's the predator in this scenario.
I kind of got the idea that like she has to do this usually the story goes something like they have to do it every so often to sustain themselves or to continue to be immortal or something. So poor Gregory Harrison just happened to walk in at the wrong time.
I like how the whole thing was like she was getting a kick out of him feeling the illusion of power, and the fact that like she's just welcoming him into okay, whatever you say, I won't do anything. And then when she's like, listen, I'm just kind of getting bored of this. Like this is a little one note. I was like, oh my god, what a crazy bitch. Like she just like, okay, you're the dominant one until I say so, and then now your heart's gonna stop beating, buddy. And he's like, no, it just takes a crash onto the floor. I was like, holy shit, like really good. And I like Mr. Dan hit the nail on the head. Now prey becomes predator, right? It can be because that guy walks in at the end, doesn't seem like a bad guy at all. He just seems like a nice kid, willing to learn and who maybe is, attracted to her. And then we all know what's in store for him. So I don't know. I thought that was a really cool.
You know what? You actually just made me think of something like, because Karen Black is obviously in all of these. The second one, which we'll get to, is an obvious split, going on where she's playing two distinct personalities, but in each segment we sort of do get two Karen Blacks if you think about it, right? Because you have the first one because we get a switch over, second one is what it is, and then the third one we get a fun twist there at the end too. So we kind of get double action in all of these now that I think about it.
This is why Anthony has 30,000 subscribers.
30.
I never thought of it that way. That's genius.
25 off, but maybe one day. With your help. But yeah, no, I never thought of it that way. Holy shit, you're right. She's basically 6 different fucking characters in this whole. Really fucking good in this. She really is. She's great throughout in all segments. Even if you're not a fan of all the segments, she's like her presence alone. She's reason enough to watch this trilogy, or Trilogy of Terror, I should say.
Completely agree with that. I'm gonna just I want to scan over some comments before we go to the next story here really quick. Haven't seen a ton of Twilight Zone episodes, but the movie used to scare the shit out of me. That scene with Dan Aykroyd. You want to see something really scary? Let the Midnight Special.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a horrifying opening. This movie feels like it could be an episode from horror radio shows like Inner Sanctum. Yeah, no, for sure. It really does. It fits in with. It's funny. I feel like it fits in with the '50s era, and then it also could fit in like anything after. It's kind of a timeless. Trilogy. Carpenter, Craven, Cronenberg. Oh my, yeah. It would have been if they incorporated the zombie doll in each segment, or cool if they incorporated it in every segment, maybe just as a prop in the background. Well, yeah, they do that with Creepshow, right? With the ashtrays and all the segments. That would have been interesting.
True.
I guess your Easter egg in each segment is Karen Black. That was the kind of gimmick, right? Gregory Harrison, who was in the movie, was on the MASH movie spinoff Trapper. John M.D. Spider the movie. No, that's a Cronenberg movie. Well, the first story is a Black Widow tale. All right, we're getting all into the Spider references here. Stukas Dive 3071. Welcome, Stukas. Hope all's well with you, buddy. It would have been cool if they figured out a way to. Okay, read that one already. My bad. Karen Black has similar vibes to Barbara Steele. Barbara could look creepy as hell, and at other times absolutely gorgeous. I think Karen Black was kind of like that. That's a good. Yeah, I could see that too. Both kind of scream queens in that way, but not like your quintessential beauty, right?
Right.
Yeah. Fuck, I was waiting for the 55-year re-release to watch it for the first time. Julia is my favorite segment from the first film. Okay, see, somebody puts it the favorite. Second is Jekyll and Hyde story. Okay, look on his face when she turns on him. Priceless. I agree with that. But yeah, let's jump into the second story. Millicent and Therese. This one, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on this one. Of all the 6 segments we'll talk about tonight, this might be the weakest for me, but it's nothing bad either. Initial thoughts on Millicent and Therese. You guys like this one?
Yeah. Well, like when people say that the third segment's good, but the rest of the movie's forgettable, it's really the middle one for me. That's like that. I was like, even as I was just rewatching it, I was like, wait a minute. I know she's going to show up as a blonde eventually. Other than that, where's this going again? I don't remember. You know what I mean? And even at the end, it's just not as impactful, essentially, overall. I mean, period, end of story. It just doesn't have that kind of impact. It's okay, I guess.
Easily. It's the most forgettable by a mile. I'm with you on that. What are your thoughts, Anthony?
About the same, man. I'm surprised that both you guys are on this. I think all 3 of us are on the same page with this. I found myself like, you know where it's going, so it's predictable. Unfortunately, it's still good because Karen Black is in it, and any other players that are in as well. There's nice performances all around. It's fine, but like, you're also comparing it to the first and the third, or at least I am, and I'm like, oh boy, this one. Unfortunately, it's not holding up as much. But yeah, I think it's just that twist. You see it coming. Maybe we've all just seen too many anthologies. Maybe we've all, too many Fight Club type movies where like that angle that this takes, it's not. Maybe it was a more original back in its time.
Right. Yes.
That's possible.
I'll give it that. Whereas now is like it just doesn't feel like it's not blowing your socks off anymore. This kind of twist. That said, I mean, Karen Black killing it with like 2 very distinct different roles. Was that the captain from Police Academy in this?
Was it? I didn't notice.
Yeah, like Lassard or something. Maybe someone in the chat could let me know. But one of the actors in it, I felt like I was getting Police Academy vibes. Maybe someone could let me know. But I found that kind of interesting. I always liked some of the other side actors and stuff like that. But the man who she was hitting on, and he was like he wasn't going for it. And that whole awkward scene, and he ends up leaving.
George Gaines. Let's see.
I think that is the name of the person that was in it.
Any Police Academy fans?
You're absolutely right. That's Lazard. That is him.
Oh, yeah, okay. There we go. I
didn't notice that. Brain, what the hell?
Jumping in. But other than that, yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm with you guys on this one. I'm curious what the chat would think on it, but this is my least favorite, unfortunately, of the 3.
Arthur says, I don't mind if I see it coming, if getting there is enjoyable. Yeah, that's like to me, this I will say the saving grace is Karen Black's performance, and it's fun to see her play the dual role, right? Because again, going back to what Dan said about her being so distinctive looking, she looks so ugly librarian as the one character, right? Buttoned
Millicent,
down,
yeah.
glasses. They give her the old age, like the gray makeup to make it look like her pores are dried out, and she's just this ugly, dried, pruny woman. And then when she walks in as this busty blonde, it's like, whoa, hey, Karen, what's up, babe? You know, it's kind of a total like, whoa, okay, now you have my curiosity, now you got my attention, right? That element of it, I'm with it. Like, I think she's good in it. And like, I think maybe it could have just been actually a little longer. Like, I actually think, because this is, let's be honest, this is a 72-minute with credit movie. Without credits, this is a sexy 69-minute long movie. Like, I think you could have added a little bit more to this. It feels like the shortest one. I don't know. I feel like you totally could have added a little bit more. Like maybe scene of them talking in between the door. Right, like there's one character and the other. It would have been kind of fun, right? Because there's a scene where she's banging on the door, and then they cut to she's sitting in there, kind of like, I'm not opening. I would have liked to see them in the same shot, and then maybe the twist would work a little bit better later on, where it was like, they weren't really in the same shot, right? The door was there, but we kind of see it that way. That would have been something I would have done, but still, it's. I don't want to say it's bad. It's just the most forgettable in a way. I don't know.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Gaines was in Punky Brewster too. Yeah. Okay, so we got some love for George Gaines. Grady pays attention to the Yitzer. Hey man, that was an awesome. That was definitely Karen's best look. Okay, he's the busty blonde Karen. I enjoyed that wholeheartedly. I was like, oh shit, all right, hello, But I don't know. This one definitely the weak one of the bunch for me. I'm not big on Millicent and Therese. Not one of my faves. It's like, I don't know, just kind of forgettable. But that brings us to. I guess a segment in anthology horror history that is arguably the most remembered, if not the most impactful in history of horror. Like, I don't even think that's an overstatement. Like, it's kind of crazy how big this story still is to this day. And that's the third and final story of the trilogy, Amelia, which, of course, features the Zuni fetish doll, the infamous Zuni fetish doll, which, again, is on the poster there. You can see him. This little guy right here, the African Zuni fetish doll. This is the thing that everybody remembers with Trilogy of Terror, and honestly, understandably so, because this is so well made from top to bottom. I just love this segment. Thoughts on the Amelia segment?
Yeah, I mean, there had been, doll movies and evil ventriloquist movies before, but nothing really like this thing. This thing was just like relentless, and it has such a frenetic pace once it gets going. It really hadn't been anything like that, I don't think, on TV or on film. So it was just, it became like a little doll for the ages. A great story from Richard Matheson too, of course. Certainly doesn't hurt. And really, another good character, the Amelia character. The one-sided phone conversations with her mom. You really kind of get a sense of who this person is before the carnage starts. And again, she knocks it out of the park. And the thing about this is, a lot of people are like, I would have done this, I would have done that. Well, when you rewatch it, she actually tries to do a lot of those things that you think you would do, and it doesn't work because the thing is so small, and it's here and it's there, and it's chopping up her leg, and it's you don't know where it is, and it's in between her and the front door. For everybody that thinks, I would just walk out, it's not that easy.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off what you said, you brought up the conversation with the mom in the beginning. That maybe that might feel a tad slow on a first watch, but it's nice. It's actually great setup, and it's not just padding, because we know what comes back at the end for a very good reason. Yeah. Plus, it helps you to get to know the character a little bit. It fleshes her out, so you actually care when she's getting chased around the house by this little monstrous creation. And he's such a great little character, and I love the sound in this where he's making all these little mumblings. I don't know. He's like throughout whenever he's attacking her. It's wonderful. He's so insane. I love it. And if you ever make like a list of a top 5 or top 10 killer dolls, like Chucky and Talkie Tina, they're all going to sort of be in there, and this guy has to be in there. He has to be in the list. He basically has to. It's a wonderful segment. I love it. And I'll bring up something when we get to it later at the end. I'll circle back to this because I had a fun surprise with Trilogy of Terror too. I wasn't as aware. I'll say it now real quick. I didn't know that there was a sequel to this until So that was a fun surprise.
Oh
Yeah,
man, that's
very fun
awesome. You
surprise.
didn't know.
Very, very fun surprise. Like an awesome fun surprise. Because obviously this is my favorite segment. It's a lot of people's favorite segment.
Yeah.
I could talk about this one forever, dude. I don't want to. I don't want to just monopolize your show. I really do love this segment. I really love this segment. It's the best of the bunch.
Easily, yeah. It's to me, it's like it's just so entertaining, and you weren't really seeing stuff like this on TV at the time, right? Like there is a little bit of blood, there is a lot of violence. It's kind of a crazy. It's just it's fascinating how a 10-inch tall doll can battle a full-grown woman, and it's this entertaining. It's like holy cow! Like this, it gets so intense, right? Where he's trying to cut out of the bag, and she's trying to like pinch it, and then she puts him in the oven, and just immediately just throws her foot on the counter. Like I am not playing any fucking games now. I'd burst out laughing.
It's practical effects. Yay, like original old school. It's just I get it. Maybe it's a guy with a puppet, but I like it. I like it. That's how I want it. You know, I wouldn't want CGI for something like this.
I gotta say too, like it must have been so hard to film this. Like I can't imagine the difficulty from the director's standpoint of like trying to make this thing work. And there were points where they even mentioned they would just throw it across the room and film it, and it somehow worked. It really doesn't appear that way. It appears that the thing is fucking running. Like,
dude, I love the shot where she's got him in a suitcase, and we get the shot of the knife poking up. I love that. That's a great little setup too. It's just really cool.
Yeah, he really. To me, this is the perfect crescendo of where horror was going at that time, and bleeding it over into syndicated television, which is really kind of the craziest thing about this, right? Like the first two stories, they could play on TV, other than like the drugging part of the first one. There's nothing too egregious in the first two segments, whereas this, it's like a battle to the death of this woman versus this Zuni fetish doll, and man, it is so damn entertaining. And like I don't know, there's something about that. To me though, that final shot of Karen with the dentures and the teeth, and just almost like an animal now, right? Because she's banging the knife on the floor, like almost as if it's the in 2001 where the whatever of man, I can't think of the damn name of the opening of that, but like that's what it reminded me of, the Dawn of Man, right? Where she's banging on the floor and just smiling, waiting for the
like an iconic shot to me.
Nightmare fuel, dude. Totally iconic. I think that is a big reason why 50 years later it's still mentioned. I think that is being the burning memory of this trilogy, where you leave the screen, right? Like we'll see it 9 o'clock news now will start, right? Like that's
the whole movie ends on that. You're like, oh good, she defeated it. Oh no. And then you're right. 5 minutes later you're watching the news going, oh my God, I never saw anything like that on TV before.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Let's ask this, because to me, I think it's worth asking. Now, obviously, the movie is remembered. The movie is beloved, and obviously, it's mainly because of this segment. Let's not kid ourselves. Would this be as remembered? Let's say if this got a theatrical release. Let's say they gave them maybe 20 more minutes to work with. You get a 90-minute picture, and this goes to the movie theater, and you get each segment maybe is like 10 minutes or so longer. Would this movie be as remembered today, or would it be forgotten like so many others?
That's a really interesting question, because the TV, forced them to be creative. So it you know what I mean? And what they could show, and the writing was always had to be on point because it was on TV.
And you also have to keep in mind the fact that TV, obviously other than paying your cable bill, which you're paying anyway, it's free. I mean, I don't have to go to the movies. I don't have to pay the admission. I don't have to, market it on posters and standees and things like that. This is just, hey, this Thursday at 8:00, it's Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black. Tune in.
Right. It might. I don't think movies like this were like blockbusters back then. It may have done well, but I don't think it would have been like, a huge blockbuster hit. I mean, this is before Halloween. This is before, whatever the Town That Dreaded Sundown did as far as box office, it might have done that, something like that, and it wouldn't be as well remembered. And you wouldn't have generations of kids saying, oh, I just turned on the TV and, I stumbled on this thing and it scarred me. Like Jim was saying, he remembers it 50 years later, You wouldn't have that necessarily,
This was likely like gateway horror for a lot of kids from back in the 70s, and in the same way that a couple of like movies creeped in on me in the early 80s and sort of became my gateway horror, into that world. So I think that but like it's a great question, Grande. I don't know. I think I'm with Mr. Dan in terms of like maybe this not being a blockbuster, but like that last segment maybe would have nudged it over to at least make it like super memorable. That the final segment. I don't know. It's tough. Good question. Really good question.
It's funny, yeah, because like you hear people say, oh, especially with the second movie, which we'll get to in a little bit, like Trilogy of Terror 2, I heard that sucks. Like that's usually the general reaction to people hearing about Trilogy of Terror 2. Like, oh, it's made for TV movie. Like, how good could it be? Kind of roll their eyes. It almost has the direct to video or the direct to DVD stigma to it in a way, a direct to TV picture. And like, I just think that's so crazy, especially with the first movie, because I do think, for what it's worth, the reason it does have that popularity is because it was a direct-to-TV movie. It got so many more eyes on it than it would have had it gone to the theater. Like, look at a lot of horror. Look at the Tales from the Crypt movie from '72. Like, good movie, really good movie. I don't think it's as remembered as Trilogy of Terror. I really don't. You may even argue it's a better movie overall. I don't think it's as memorable, and like I just don't. Yeah. Like I think that the syndicated TV aspect of it is a big reason why it's so remembered. I really think that's a big part of its legacy. That's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. It's kind of interesting. Now, obviously, I'm happy to hear your guys' thoughts on this and stuff too. One of just the elephant in the room, Karen Black. Years and years after doing this movie, may she rest in peace, she had this quote, and I read this in my show prep, and I was so curious what you two thought of it. She said, this little Trilogy of Terror movie took my life and put it on a path where I didn't feel I belonged in. I can't, like, I completely hear what she's saying. I get what she means because her career was never the same after this. She was literally like, I was like, oh, Karen. When I saw her in House of Thousand Corpses, I was like, Karen Black. Like, that's me. But I can also see indie actress of 5 years prior to this, right? An Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces and all these really, really good movies. I wonder if she felt that she left that at the table with the movie like this and felt that was a career more likely for her. What are your thoughts? Do you think, is it possible Karen was ashamed to be in these pictures, right? Known for being a horror movie scream queen, for lack of a better term. Or do you think it's something that she maybe embraced over time? Like, because it seems to me from that quote, when you hear that, she feels she never belonged in this and felt that she was maybe robbed of certain roles. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts would be on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously there were still conventions were quite a thing when she was still with us. I don't know that she did any, or I really don't know. And yeah, it was great seeing her in movies like House of a Thousand Corpses, and even movies like Mirror, Mirror, Out of the Dark.
Meat Pies.
I guarantee you that she was not happy about taking some of those. It's Alive 3,
That's right.
Like, if only I could take her and Michael Moriarty and put them in a better It's Alive movie. It would have been, anyway, because they were great, but they somehow ended up in the third one. But, I guarantee you that she wasn't thrilled with every single one of those parts, but I don't know. Hopefully she made some kind of peace with it.
It makes me wonder though, because like I know obviously as a filmmaker, as a creative, as an actor, actress, what have you, the goal generally is never to be typecasted, right? Like George Romero feared that his whole career, and that was what happened. He became known as the horror. They wanted to give him horror pictures. He didn't want to, but that was what they wanted to give him. It seemed like that's what happened with Karen. Like I think Karen didn't want to be that person. And it just kind of something she fell into. And sometimes it chooses you, and like I, as fans of it, I'm so happy we had somebody as good as a Karen Black, right? So many good roles, but it's like at the same time, I feel the disdain from the woman. Like if maybe she wasn't so thrilled with doing it, but
even in Anthony? Oh, I'm sorry. Just one more.
If you want to say something, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just one more. Yeah, even within the horror sci-fi genre, like, hey, I think a lot of people thought the Invaders from Mars remake was going to be bigger because it was Tobe Hooper, Right. So even then she was like, all right, well, this horror sci-fi movie is going to be big, and then it was, it's a shame. Yeah.
I'll echo Mr. Dan's thoughts on this. Like, I'd like to think that she eventually came to, had some kind of peace with this. It does sound, but just going by your quote, it doesn't sound like it was, you know, like it was something that she was totally thrilled about being known for. For us horror nerds, we'll love her and respect her for this, for her work always, and always remember for this and be thankful for it. But this isn't anything new. The whole typecasting thing and an actor or actress being, you know, becoming well-known and highly regarded for one specific role, and that's it. It's a wrap. For the rest of their career, whether they like it or not, that's it. That's what they're known for. And they may have aspirations to do other things, but sadly, they do get left out because, oh, you're the horror queen, or oh, you're the captain of the Enterprise, or whatever the thing is that you're known for. And it sometimes actors will circle back around to it and they'll accept it and just go with it. That's probably the best way to deal with this sort of phenomenon. And I think if you're an actor, but what the hell do I know? I'm not an actor per se. But yeah, it's tough when you hear this, that like because like you fall in love with them for a certain role, and it's always tough to hear this, that like they're not as into it as we are. But it sort of is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like, you know, another thing too that I know another big fear of actors might be, you know, the fear of losing work, right? That's always a big thing where I'm not getting roles anymore. I'm not getting booking anymore. Like, what do I do? Where do I turn? That's not something she faced because of this. Like, she always, it was Karen Black. We'll have you, sure. Like, her name always became royalty, and like she acted over 200 different projects, so she never struggled to get a job, at least. And I know she sadly got real sick at the end. I think she suffered from pancreatic cancer, sadly, the last few years of her life, and struggled mightily with that, but literally kept working through it. And I think I dare to say that I don't know if she gets those jobs and if she doesn't do this movie. Like, I truly think that this movie gave her the second career that she had, and made sure she always had work. So there's always that aspect to it too. Like, it's kind of, I don't know. I was just curious to pick your guys' brains on that.
It makes for a good discussion too, man. Yeah, maybe she would have liked to have a few more things like 5 easy pieces like on her resume as like a career, and it didn't, you know, it didn't quite go that direction. That's sad, because she certainly had a million more of those in her. She was extremely talented.
She did. I think it would have been nice for her to find that happy medium, you know. And I don't think society at that time was like. Listen, 5 years prior, she's nominated for the Little Golden Statue. 5 years later, she's battling the little Zuni fetish doll on national television, and you know, overnight her life changed forever. So it's kind of interesting parallel there.
And in context, unfortunately, back in the day, there was a stigma for like TV movies, I believe, right? A little bit more of a stigma as, oh, this didn't get a theatrical release. It's just a shitty TV movie. It's like, nowadays, like, we'll look at these TV movies and be like, oh my God, we got some hidden gems here. But back in the day, it was just like that. Unfortunately, wasn't quite. You'd still watch it, you'd still enjoy it, but it just didn't quite feel the same as like a theatrical release.
Yeah. No, I'm with you both completely. One of my favorite movies with Karen Black is Easy Rider. Love Easy Rider. Great counterculture movie. It's amazing Karen Black plays a villain in the first two segments. In the third movie, she plays a victim, right? This reminds me of Tales from the Hood segment with the doll too. Best segment of that movie too. Okay. Does anyone know if the zombie fetish doll inspired the Puppet Master movies? First thing I thought when I saw it, I said to myself, looks like a Puppet Master doll. I've not heard that. Have you guys heard that at all?
Not directly, but who knows? I mean, you know, I don't know.
Could be some inspiration. It could be.
I will say
not to be inspired by this.
Right. Yeah. And one cool fun fact I wanted to mention too, the original short story Prey that this was based off of, was originally published in a Playboy magazine in 1969, April edition of 1969 Playboy. You could read the original story that this was based off of by Richard Matheson. So wild how, and you were telling me before, Anthony, that this was the case for a lot of short stories. Is that true? Because I wasn't aware.
I feel like I always go down this rabbit hole a little bit, like with Twilight Zone stuff or some of these older series and anthologies where they pull the stories out from somewhere else. And I feel like I keep coming up with this where it was like such and such was first published in Playboy or whatever. I'll have to look into it. I have to go. Now I'm curious. I have to go back down that rabbit hole to see like how many more, you know, of our favorite, you know, episodes and segments from TV, you know, originated in Playboy. The Fly. I almost feel like I could be wrong on that though. I almost want to say that The Fly may have, maybe not. I'm thinking out loud now. But anyway, I'll have to get back to you on that one. Now's not the time. Maybe someone in the chat knows this one. But it does feel like a lot of our favorite stories originally appeared in like Playboy back in the day.
Well, I do want to show. I pulled this up. This is a actual picture of what the edition is. This is the edition that has the story in it. So not for the faint of heart. There's no nudity here, but there are some little cleavage. This was the Playboy edition where the original Prey story aired. Was this particular April of 1969 in this little Playboy edition here. It goes for $175 on eBay. So yeah, and that's not in great shape. But yeah, this is where the original Richard Matheson story was published, which is really, really crazy. Someone mentions Playboy was a well-respected magazine, especially for their interviews. Well, I mean, I didn't know. I really didn't know stories like this would be like. Was the idea like, I get this, I look at the pretty pictures of girls and then read a horror story? Like, was that ever what Playboy was about?
Well, it seems weird. It certainly seems weird when you put it like that. But
yeah.
That was the case apparently. Yeah. That's where these young writers, I guess, they got their start and they took the gig, right? And it was just like, yeah, fine. I'm published. Where are you published? I'm published. Don't worry, I'm published.
So the New Yorker, the National Enquirer, fucking Playboy April edition, cover up the yits.
Okay, yeah, Grandpa has that one. Yeah.
I will say, as a that would be the coolest thing ever to own. Be like,
absolutely, yeah.
In theory, if to adapt the story, somebody had to have had that Playboy magazine and said, "Hey, we've got to make a movie out of this." Like,
yeah,
right.
It had to be how it happened. It wasn't published anywhere else. So I don't know. Pretty cool story there. What does it say about 10-inch dolls and women, respectively? Wow. Someone's got a dirty mind. There's also a segment in The Simpsons' third Treehouse of Horror episode called Clown without Pithy, where it has an evil Krusty doll. I've not seen that.
Yes,
Karen Black being terrorized by the little shit Zuni doll is like Agnes Moorehead being terrorized by the invaders. Yeah, that's the closest, I would say. That's the closest comparison.
Yeah, true. Second invaders.
I would say this is more entertaining, though. Like, I would totally say.
Yes.
Yeah.
My grandpa had that Playboy mag, and the pages were stuck together. Jesus, you see, I knew I would regret bringing that up, but it's too cool of a point not to bring.
It's just for research purposes, guys.
Ooh la la! Well, I don't own the thing. It's not like Rue Morgue or Fangoria. I don't have it, but I was like, what edition? Out of curiosity. So that lucky lady on the cover there. Trilogy of Terror 1, I'd recommend it wholeheartedly to everybody. I think it's worth a watch. It's on Tubi for free. It's on. You can very much find it accessible. It's not, unfortunately, on Blu-ray in print. The Blu-ray of it's out of print goes for like 75 to 100 bones. From Kino Lorber. I don't have that, unfortunately, but if they ever re-release it, I'm going to pull the trigger and get Trilogy of Terror, the original, on Blu-ray high def, because it's definitely one I want to add to the collection. But moving on, my friends, into the sequel. 21 years later, my birth year, on Halloween Eve. This was October the 30th of 1996. This movie debuted on the USA Channel. I'm talking about Dan Curtis's return and Lisette Anthony starring in Trilogy of Terror 2. Yes, Trilogy of Terror 2. Another Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. Thank you, Michael Felcher. Really good features on this son of a bitch, too. And this one's still in print, so you can get this one for fairly accessible money. Brief plot synopsis. 3 horror stories, including a woman's fate when she and her lover attempt to rob her husband's grave, a woman who brings her son back from the dead, and a Zuni fetish doll who comes to life again and goes on another murderous rampage. Trilogy of Terror 2. Now, this seems like Dan Curtis, towards the end, was really trying to recapture and relive a lot of the glory days of the 1970s, right? And this seemed like it was sort of a last Hail Mary ditch throw for him to kind of relive those glory days. And horror was really kind of turning in 1996. I think by the end of 96, horror kind of turns and moved on. And this almost felt like it was ancient and left in the dust. Nobody really remembers the second movie, despite its infamous original movie. Thoughts on Trilogy of Terror, or I guess maybe, do you remember the first time you've heard about Trilogy of Terror 2? Because this is one that not a lot of people have seen.
Boy, I guess like I heard about it a good while before I got it from Kino. Thank goodness, Kino. I mean, most of my made-for-TV movies are from Kino, so
me too.
That's one of their niches, So thank goodness for them. But I knew of it, and I knew that there was a sequel to the Amelia segment. That's pretty much all I knew about it. And then I guess when I started really getting into physical media collecting, I just jumped on it. So that that was a couple years ago.
Oh, cool. Okay. And Anthony,
Like,
how about you?
it's not like I didn't know about it like way back, like when it came out or anything. It was really, literally like years later that I even knew it existed.
And I think it's the same case for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who go, there's a second one? Like, that's usually a big reaction you get. Like, huh? Like, it must suck. That's a big,
So that's a perfect lead-in, dude, because I know that this movie exists because of you. We were in a chat a few months back, and I don't know how this came up, and you were like, oh, have you ever seen 2? And I was like, there's a 2? So I am one of those people. I literally am one of those people. I checked this movie out, dude, because of you, and I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I am a fan of this movie. And you guys are holding up the Blu-rays, and I'm jealous. I have to order one.
You gotta get it.
That's how much I am a fan of this movie. I wish I would have seen it back in the day. 96. I'm on my way out of high school and going into college. This movie is off my radar. This movie's off my radar until like now, basically, when Grande's like, hey, want to do a stream on it? And I'm like, okay, well, now I need to check it out. Because I had to watch it, obviously, for this stream. I had to find it online. Anyway, I did watch it, and I did like it a whole lot. And what as I was saying earlier, that third segment was such a pleasant surprise because I was like, oh, my God, we have a sequel to one of my favorite segments, so like everybody's favorite segment. And it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not as good as the first one, but definitely not bad. I don't want to jump ahead. But yeah, so my first experience with this movie is very recent, very fresh in my mind. And I'm going through Tales from the Crypt right now. So it felt like in the spirit of that. And I guess it's sort of in the same era too. So maybe that makes sense.
Yeah. It's got some of that 90s lighting, this bluish light.
Yeah, better or worse. Yeah.
Just but
its own thing, that's for sure.
Yeah. Also filmed in Canada, so it had that sort of like there's something about this that is a little bit off. I know, you know what I mean? Like it just feels a little bit different than something filmed in the States, but indicative of the time, but well made.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
Like, and just a heads up, Kino is doing a 50% off sale right now. It started today. So you probably pick this up for $10 probably on Blu-ray.
Nice. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, they have a ton of other like they have Dead of Night, which that's one I've been looking at the collection. So maybe this weekend we'll throw that, and then we'll mention that one again because we just happen to have a segment that's in common with Dead of Night. But we'll get there. Yeah, no, this was one I grew up with. I saw this on Late Night USA channel. And this was, I believe, the very first horror anthology I ever watched.
Wow.
And once again, because it was on syndicated TV, I didn't have, this big Blu-ray collection that I have now, right? I didn't have all this at my disposal. And some of the only ways I could watch it was if it was on syndicated TV. And this came on one night late. And this was at the time where I was staying with my grandmother in her Pennsylvania house. And it scared me shitless. The Bobby segment especially. I was like scared to go anywhere. I was like, holy shit, I'm not okay, and that was a big, introducer to me. And I look at this movie as, someone said before about the first movie, a great gateway. I kind of look at this movie for me in my own gateway. Like I feel like it totally opened me to the world of like, what else? I want to see the first one after this and, so on and so forth with anthology horror. I definitely don't think I watch a show like The Twilight Zone if it wasn't for watching something like this first and seeing, an anthology and how it's done. Interesting here, Lisette Anthony was the selected lead actress to take over and be the lead of all the stories. Now, not a household name to this day. We may remember from a certain Tales from the Crypt, Forever Ambergris. Lisette Anthony is in that one of the best Tales from the Crypt episodes, and she's great in it. Just the year before this, she was in Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is, hated at the time, kind of has a cult following now. Really like her, though, as an actress. Did you think she did a good job in this movie?
I thought she was very good. Big shoes to fill, obviously.
Huge shoes to fill, right?
That said, I thought she was fine. I thought she was actually really good. I miss Karen Black, yes, but she was actually really good. I thought she was surprising in all 3 segments across the board. I think she was fine.
Yeah. Yep. 3 very distinct characters. Of course, she's British, so in the final segment, she's playing a British. Archaeologist or whatever, but 3 very distinct characters. She certainly has a different look in the first one. She looks great in the first episode. She's playing a trophy wife. I mean, she looks fantastic. And interestingly enough, like she had just been in the failed reboot of Dark Shadows
That's right.
Going back to what you said, it was like Curtis was trying to go back and see which one of my old properties can I mine again, you know, and that's why she, you know, because you wonder, like I said, Anthony, why did they, you know, at that time, why was she the one that was picked? Well, she was within, you know, she was fresh in Dan Curtis's mind from
and
from
what
that.
you know, a story that she told on the Blu-ray that I thought was beautiful was that they didn't want her. The studio did not want Lysette Anthony. They shot her down a few times, and Dan Curtis was like, "Nope, it has to be Lysette Anthony. Like, I want to work with her. She's got it in her. I see it." And you know, she broke down crying. She was like,
Yeah.
"It's so nice that he saw that in me." You know, and like, listen. There's no doubt that for a made-for-TV movie shot in Canada in 1996, they weren't going to get Angelina Jolie. They weren't going to get, you know, an A-list actress for this or anything like that. However, you know, it was really nice that he took a chance on an up-and-comer. Like, I think that that's something that we don't do enough anymore in the current genre. Like, right, we rest on a lot of these names, right? We rest a lot on the past, whereas Dan Curtis said, hell no, like I see it in her. And yeah, very distinctive, very pretty woman, very good though, I think, in all three roles respectively. You know, so much so I've met people that like they didn't realize that it's her in all three segments. Like that's how distinctive, you know, some of these performances are.
That's a compliment.
You know? Yeah, it really is. But let's jump in. Let's jump into the first story here. The Graveyard Rats. Only if there's any rats on Grande's Graveyard, it's the Graveyard Rats. Really fun opener. I thought this was a great opener. I love it. We get the title intro with the grave and the two roses, Trilogy of Terror 2. Really fun, like alien-esque music, like you know, like that type of music, which I always thought was weird. And then your age-old story of trophy wife and the husband that's in a wheelchair, and you know he has all this money. She's cheating on him with her cousin, which I thought was really fucking weird. But and then they do this perilous plot to kill him and take his money, but it all kind of goes horribly wrong. Thoughts on the original, the opening segment here? Because I love this one.
Go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay, sure. I'll jump in. Yeah, I thought it was a super strong opening segment. You don't quite get anybody to root for, and I'm totally fine. It's one of those where you're kind of like, everybody here could pretty much die. It's just a question of, are we going to have fun while we're doing it? And that's what this one is about. And where it ultimately goes, when we get to the graveyard, we get to some of the fun rat action or whatever, is really good. I see somebody in your chat. We'll get there too. But I saw this like recently. But prior to this, I saw an adaptation of this Matheson story on Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Right.
This is very different, though. This is very different. I'm not sure which is more. I haven't read the short story, unfortunately, so I'm not sure which one is more loyal to the source material. In any case, they're actually both really good versions. I like both of them, and we're talking about this. So, in terms of this, just really good stuff. I like the husband character. I like the creepy boyfriend cousin character. I like the woman, and I like where it all ultimately goes. Perfect little opening starting segment to just sort of get us into this trilogy.
I couldn't find it, unfortunately, but this is actually a story by Henry Kuttner.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Who was in the sort of Lovecraftian circle of writers who wrote some of those Lovecraft or Cthulhu mythos stories. Not as well known as some of the other ones, but in the book, this
isn't Matheson, just to be clear.
No, and I don't know who did the teleplay for it though. I don't remember if
William F. Nolan did the teleplay.
William F. Nolan, who often did teleplays for things that Matheson wrote. You know,
right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right.
But but it was in a book called The History of Zombies. So that tells you right there that the story was closer to the Cabinet of Curiosities episode, which also had zombies, whereas this one just focuses on the rats, even though I think the original story is called The Graveyard Rats. So that was a little different, but it's funny they kind of padded out with this story of the wheelchair bound grumpy old guy who and his trophy wife, but then they also leave out some things that were in the original story. I don't know if that would have really added to the runtime anyway, but it's a familiar. We've seen that kind of plot line in many films. But I do like Matt Clark chewing up the scenery as this grumpy old mean bastard. He passed away this year. I actually made a special video about his career because he was just one of those character actors. He was in movies with Eastwood. speaking of Clint Eastwood, we're going to get to somebody else in this episode in a minute. But
Yeah.
He was in movies with John Wayne and Burt Reynolds, Clint Eastwood, just a very familiar face. And of course, the cousin boyfriend is watching. It's not real subtle because he's watching. What is he watching? He's watching Kiss of Death, cracking up as Richard Widmark pushes that old lady down the steps, and it's like, gee,
we got our setup. We got our setup.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we know where this is going real quick, but it was still kind of fun. The way it started, and there's a little pit stop when they go to the town that's going to have the internment and the viewing or whatever, and they stop in that bar, and that's where they meet Jeffrey Lewis. But it's a pretty good who I think is kind of like the main character in the original story.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's the one that the story kind of follows. The guy that's kind of pilfering the valuables of people that he's burying. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's how the original short story goes. It's from his perspective, whereas this they shoehorned all that stuff in with the. But it's so entertaining too. Like, what has he been doing? What has he been doing? Well, my dear, he's been doing you. I thought that was perfect. I burst out laughing every time. I love how he delivers that line. And then give me that gun. You'll shoot your face off with it, and then just goes down just how entertaining the opening is. And I love the whole play on words, right? The graveyard rats. Yeah, we see these physical embodied rats, but also the people we're following in the story are the graveyard rats, right? This woman that only married her husband for money, this cousin who's having sex with his cousin, I assume for money, this caretaker / grave digger who's in it for the money, right? Everybody's a rat basically in the story, which I thought was such clever writing, right? And all these colorful but evil, deliciously evil characters, right? Just so fun to see them kind of all culminate to this graveyard where there are these giant practical rats that, again, as a fucking child, scared me shitless. Like, I am to this day scared of rats because of this. I've heard people say they look good. I've heard people say they look bad. To me, they look really good. To me, like, I don't know. What do we think of the rats look?
It's fine. It's for a TV movie from '96. This is fine. This is like this is
the
great.
Red eyes, like fuck.
Yeah. They went with obviously
like a high definition Blu-ray. You may see the cracks, but overall, I think it's fine. There you go.
And they do, and the special features they go into you see some of that. You see them doing the puppeteering, and even when you're watching it, it's pretty obvious that it's a lot of puppeteering. But they're so packed in together, and they're so like vicious. You got those gnarly teeth and the red eyes and the fact that they made them a little oversized.
Right.
Overall, pretty effective. Now, I've always thought, obviously, the business end is the scary end, but there's something about rat tails that have always like creeped me out too. Like a rat tail going across your body. I wish they would have maybe had one where you could see the whole thing, or did some puppetry with a whole rat, because it's mostly just the front ends of these rats. But the other part of it is, it works because it's such a confined space.
Right.
Yep.
You just get so claustrophobic. Whereas actually in the original story, they stumble into a crypt that you can stand up in, and it kind of takes away that claustrophobia.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happened in the Cabinet of Curiosities episode, because I think there's somebody sitting on like a throne or a chair even. But, if she could have stood up, it wouldn't have been, the episode would have taken the foot off.
The horror would have been taken out.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Absolutely. That whole thing of being confined is what is horrifying. It's that because we imagine ourselves in this scenario, and when it's like, oh my God, it's a horrific way to go. It really is.
I thought what was so good too is she goes down, after shooting her cousin, and Jeffrey Lewis has been taken out at this point. She goes down and she crawls and she's got it. And then she looks up and she thinks she's in the casket that, had the dirt taken off, and she pushes and she can't get out. When I first saw, I was like, oh shit. Like, now she's literally in her own coffin buried next to the guy. And then the rats kind of file in, and dude, the way that's done is just horrifying, man. Like, I will say it's extremely well lit for a tunnel underground.
That would be a valid criticism. Yes,
my belief is totally suspended because it's really effectively done. Like, that to me would be a horrible way to go. Like, you just you see you're done. Like, there's no wiggle room at all. Like, I don't know. And to a nicer person, it couldn't happen. Like, to me, this is horror 101. It's really well written. It's the entertainment value of the dialogues over the top and fun, and then like the payoff is there. Like it's a really good payoff, I think. Like overall,
Absolutely.
I love this story.
Yep.
Yeah, no, let's see. Krusty Doll story is a classic spoiler. Okay. We got Down is Up. Jeff is in the house. Let's see. It's not as good as the first, but I still love it. Hi, Granny and everyone. Hope all everyone's having a killer night. Welcome, Jeff. Hope all as well. Yeah, you know, I got an unpopular opinion on this. I actually like the sequel better than the original. Like all around, I like the sequel better than the first movie.
Wow. Okay.
I hope Anthony Loves Forever, Amber Gray.
Yes.
I don't know if okay, yes, we've seen. I always found Dracula Dead and Loving hilarious. She's alive. She's Nosferatu. She's Italian. Yeah, that's a fun movie. The first story feels like it could be a Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, it really it's the most Tales from the Crypt. It really is. Let's see. Apparently, the cabinet one is more loyal to the source from what I've read. Yeah, it's absolutely right. Yeah, because again, Jeffrey Lewis, you get a scene in the bar where he explains the rats, and then he's just there trying to rob the grave after. It's like two really brief scenes, unfortunately. But he's good. Grande showed up the cover for the magazine this first appeared in. It's great. Oh, okay. I'll look that up. I'll look that up in the meantime. Matt Clark was known for appearing on Mac's Headroom. Yeah, you know, Matt Clark, I didn't realize that he had just died just like 2 months ago. So rest in peace, Matt Clark. He was so good. It's on Wikipedia for the Graveyard Rats. Okay, let me look right now. She's literally digging his own grave, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll look up the let's see. So Graveyard Rats Wikipedia, because I'm curious to see this. So here is it the Weird Tales cover? Because that I don't know if I could show. That woman is that woman's kind of naked. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I can show that. Yeah. I don't know. She's covered up. Okay, wait a minute. I found where she's got a bra in here. Let me just go here.
Okay. The bra version.
I just don't want to get in trouble, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. The stream's going too well.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was, I guess, the original, the Weird Tales edition from 1936.
Wow.
The albino deaths, weird tortures, and a ghastly abode of horrors. Wow, very interesting. Magazine. See, like that's really cool. The kids of that era had stuff like this, like because they didn't really have what's at our disposal, right? Like we have all these movies on the shelf that we could just pick and grab at our friggin', you know, they had to like buy stuff like that, and just their imaginations ran wild. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love that it's lived on, at least, you know, throughout the years and the decades, thankfully, because of movies and TV movies and stuff like that. We get these we get adaptations one way or the other. And, you know, and it makes me wonder, like, how much more is floating around out there that's yet to be adapted. Could be cool to see.
And you know, it's funny because I feel like in horror you saw less and less in that as time has gone on, right? Like when we like all the shit we grew up on, the Twilight Zone and Tales, like a lot of that stuff was based off of short stories from yesteryear.
Yeah.
Whereas in current horror, we really don't see it that much. It's almost like a lost art, which is crazy because there's so many good stories, man.
Yeah, true.
It's an overabundance for sure. Horror short stories are so good they stand the test of time. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Sorry, it was Matt Frewer who was on that. No worries, Slasher Fred. But let's get to the next segment, which is my personal favorite of the both movies here tonight. This is Chapter 2, talking about Bobby. Yes, Bobby. This is to me the all-time greatest horror anthology segment. I would go that far.
Wow.
This scared the friggin' shit out of me as a kid, and to this day does. In fact, so much so that it had been done in 1977's Dead of Night. This was the closing segment for that movie, the Bobby segment, which crazy enough starred Joan Hackett, who had appeared in Twilight Zone, like I mentioned before, the Piano in the House episode. She played the mom, and Lee Montgomery played the kid, who was in Ben and Burnt Offerings. He was the son in Burnt Offerings. So crazy how all these people still kind of intertwined in Curtis's like vortex here. But thoughts on Lisette Anthony and the late Blake Herron as Bobby in this segment. Just a quick before I get your thoughts. Blake Herron grew up in the same hometown as me. We're actually from the same hometown. Sadly, he's passed away. He overdosed on drugs, unfortunately. I thought he did a really good job here, and I love this. I'm so a big fan of this segment, so I'm curious what you guys think though of the Bobby segment.
Dan, you want to?
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, I haven't even watched the one from Dead of Night today. they're both very good.
Yeah.
You know, again, what Lai said, Anthony, very, very different role from the first story. She does a great job. You really feel bad for her initially. You know, and then you almost like, she's, you know, got satanic emblems on the floor and she's chanting, and you're like, usually doesn't go well. Usually doesn't work out in horror movies. And then when he comes back, you know, you hear him first before you see him, and it's just creepy, you know, because there's something otherworldly about the way he's crying out, and even the way he's interacting with mom after she, you know, opens the door and he's soaking wet and she's drying him off, and she's going through the motions of doing all the motherly things, you know, like, let me get you a sandwich and all this stuff. There's just something off about the whole thing, though. And by the way, one of the greatest all-time thunderstorms, the way that it's filmed,
Right.
There's parts where it's completely black, and then the lightning is flashing at the right times. It's a really good thunderstorm environment, and that's something usually, like, I would think, like, more of the 70s. That's one thing this 90s movie really does well. Like, the house looks great. You know, how about that flower pot? Giant flower pot. I mean, that would be dangerous in any circumstance.
Yes.
It's like right at the edge there, you know. But yeah, no, it's a creepy episode, and it as he changes too, like his whole demeanor changes, of course, and you know, I guess we'll get to the phone call in a minute, which was really creepy, but you know, yeah, very creepy, off-putting. You know, kids in peril. It's always kind of gets under your skin a little bit, and then when they turn into the antagonists, you know, it's not for nothing that there's a movie called Who Can Kill a Child, because then, like, what do? You don't want to kill a child because it's a child. You know?
Great movie, by the way. I've covered that on one of the Spanish specials. Really, really good film.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Anthony?
This is another one I could talk about for a while. I really liked it. First off, let me start with that. I'm watching this movie and I'm like, dude, after I finish this one, I'm like, that's 2 for 2. And I was very happy with it. I like how you brought up how the kid first comes in and we get it's you could tell something's off, but it's not quite off. And I love how there's this slow build up, and then eventually it's very off. I mean, to the point where the kid's playing a whole hide and seek game with the mom and all of this great stuff, and you know, and all of these horrifying things, and it builds up to this great climax. But just a very good segment, and this is one of those cases where we get an explanation for it at the end. Sometimes I'm happy with an explanation. Sometimes I don't want an explanation. I like the mystery. We get a very clear explanation as to why this kid is back. And like, I'm trying to dance around spoilers, but I know Granda, you said you don't care about spoilers.
Spoiled? Go ahead.
I like this ending, and I like the explanation that we get. Like, he's not just he's a monster because he's a monster, or the kid is evil because he's evil. That's creepy enough in itself, but we get that it's something a little deeper where, like, he wanted to get away from the mom. This is some really hard-hitting stuff to me. Maybe it's the parent in me. Maybe I don't know, because you got a lot going on in here where you get the loss of a child. That's horrific. Then you get her wanting him back. God forbid this ever happens. You can relate to this as a parent, but then you get him back in this nightmarish way where he's demonic.
It's not the same.
Yeah, and then we get a little deeper into the story where maybe mom wasn't an angel all along. So this is we're touching on like some heavy subject matter here, but yet it's like you can rewatch this and be okay, you know, even though it's hitting on some touchy subject matter. I liked it a lot. I could talk about this one for a while. I'm very glad, again, dude, that you recommended this to me, because it was just a pleasant surprise all the way through. And unlike the first movie, I'll say, yeah, again, at this point I'm watching it and it's like, now we're 2 for 2, whereas like we had a dip in the first movie, and this one we're going up. I don't know how I would rank all three of these in this set, you know. But yeah, dude, I won't shut up about this one, so I'll just. We
can totally rank them at the end. That's a good idea.
I liked it a lot. I have a lot to say about this, but yeah, that's just like my quick thoughts on it. Very good segment, highly recommended, and I hope for those who haven't seen it, I feel bad even bringing up some of these things because it's a little bit spoilery. But yeah, I still highly recommend the whole thing, and particularly this segment. Oh, and the 70s version too is very good. I did a comparison afterward. Was it the same? It wasn't the same house, because a lot of it did feel super.
It literally feels like shot for shot in some
sense. Shot for shot.
And
kind of an
really,
interesting. I got it. I
yeah,
have to do a comparison, man, or something because it
I
was
would love. Okay, if I could request the Fever Dreamland the comparison video, please let me request
that could be fun, dude. That could be fun. Yeah,
That would be fun. That would be really cool.
It did appear that both houses were really on the edge of this like cliff with you know, and it's like, I mean, I know there's probably in California, there's probably plenty of houses like that. I'm not sure about Canada, but you know, they were very similar houses. Yeah.
No, and to say you both, I think, made extremely good points, and I'm with you wholeheartedly. To start with something that Dan mentioned was how well made this is. Like, this is a made for TV, made for peanuts and nickels rubbed together, right? Yet it feels very theatrical. It almost feels like a big haunted house simulator in a lot of ways, and I do mean that in a positive light. And to touch on what Anthony said about the themes all around here, it's so much more than just a game of hide and seek between long lost son and his mommy. As he says mommy, so if you took a shot every time he says mommy, you will die before the segment ends. He says it to death, literally. Were you nice to me, mommy? You know, I'm freaking out, dude, by all that stuff. But like, to me, the themes are really important here, right? Here's the mother and the horrors of desperation, right? What would you do to get your son back in the door tonight? What would you do to have one more night with Bobby, right? And Bobby comes back, and Bobby's not the same, right? Bobby doesn't like the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with the crust cut off anymore, and Bobby doesn't want to go to bed. Bobby wants to play hide and seek now, mommy. And the way they set that up is just really good, right? At first, it's the relief, oh, my son is back, and then it ultimately, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop and for this ultimate deadly game of hide and seek. And it gets violent, man. Like the flower pot pushed off on her. He throws a hammer at her into the window. She ends up shooting him several times. He falls out a fucking window. Like, holy shit, man. For national television, this is actually kind of crazy that some of the stuff, like, okay, he's going to shoot the 10-year-old child, really? Like, and he's going to fall out the window and bust through the front door like nothing happened. Like, hell yeah, sign me up for that, Dan Curtis. Like, really good.
Because by that point, we're completely in supernatural territory. So you're just going with it. I mean, we're already there, but by the end, you're just like, all right, all bets are off.
Yeah, because the phone call was really like, you know, impossible.
I'm glad you brought that up. Phone call was great.
He changed completely. You know, she was trying to talk to her husband, right?
Yeah, right, her husband John. John, it's John. Yeah. And
then all of a sudden, she's talking to Bobby, and it's great. And he's like kind of like agreeing with her in an obnoxious way.
Yes.
You know? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She's just talking. Why are you repeating everything I'm saying? He goes, repeating everything you're saying. And she's
I'm glad you brought that up. It's because it's so disturbing. It makes the hair on your, on your on all your body parts stand up. It's a great little scene, and it's again slow build up, but then we get there, and it's a good payoff.
It's great horror psychology too, because it wasn't just enough to kill this woman. He buttered her up the whole time. It's like all the horror of humiliation of you're gonna suffer. It's not just kill you 1-2. He could have done that in the very beginning, but that's not the point. That's not the horror. And to me, I don't know what you guys make of the whole spiel at the end. I thought he was saying that more to be an ass, if for lack of a better term, right? Because he says the line, Bobby didn't drown on accident. Bobby drowned himself to get away from you, and he brought me instead, right? And he turns to like a gargoyle, I guess. That's the one I wish they hadn't have shown that. I don't. Did you guys like the effect at the end? Because
I was going to ask about that, and they did go with more. They went with more of a gargoyle look than the original one, where it was just makeup. In both cases, apparently they got a little person in the credits to do that. I don't even know why you needed a person at all. It just seemed like a mask, like for as briefly as you saw it. I don't know that they had to do that. I don't know, but it's one of those things. It's so brief at the end that it doesn't really take anything away from the story for me.
I mean, dude, until you questioned it just now, I think I was just taking that at face value, like yours. But you bring up a good point. It could just because maybe he's a demonic entity, and like somebody in the chat is bringing up the monkey's paw thing, and this is just she's conjured up a bad spirit, and it is what it is. I love that ambiguity, though. I don't know, but you're saying, Grande, that maybe it's just that she wasn't just, a bad mom, and the kid like literally wanted to get away from mommy, which seems extreme.
I truly think that it was more so that the kid did die by accident, but she should have been doing her job as a parent to
so
watch
have a
the
negligence.
kid.
A negligence.
And that's, I think
exactly.
that's more what he's saying. Like, why would anyone want to be next to you? Like, why would anybody want to be your son? That's how I always took it. It's like he was trying to be a dick, in lack of a better term. This is, I can share this with y'all. This is what the gargoyle looks like.
There it goes.
If there's one thing I could change, I would probably change this. This doesn't look the greatest to me. It's very Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know.
You
That's
know,
like
it's the lighting too. To be fair, some of these things you put that in the dark a lot more. But a little, it's maybe that was the moment of the flash from the lightning. I'm not too sure, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta keep this stuff in the dark and in the shadow.
Well, that was the whole. That's the big unveil, right?
But that is the big reveal.
In the shadow, and then when he gets to the lightning, and that's the big unveil. And like, if that's a cool effect, holy shit! Like, that's like a 10 out of 10. You know, like, I'm just giving you a standing ovation. But still, I think the thing from top to bottom is so good. I love the idea. I just think it's a great story in both Dead of Night, and this Dead of Night segment is really, really good too. I don't want to sell that short. Like, to me, it's just as good. I think the thing that takes it over the top for me though is I do think these two actors were a little bit better. Like, I think Blake Herron was so much scarier as the kid. Like, he's just, hey, mommy, you know, and the, ha, you gotta find me. You know, the way he just, like, what a little bastard, you know. Like, I wish, you know, if he had still been alive, I would have loved to have met Blake Herron because I know he was local. That would have been the coolest thing. I would have been like, you scared me shitless, buddy. Like, that would have been the ultimate honor to get to tell him that. But, I don't know. I love this one. This is my personal favorite of the movie. I'm happy you guys dig it as much as I do. The second story is basically a take on the classic Monkey's Paw, where the son dies and the mother refuses to accept his loss. Yes, and like we said, both versions are good. But that takes us to the final segment of Trilogy of Terror 2. He Who Kills, the long-awaited 21 years, blackjack years in the making sequel to the classic Amelia segment in Trilogy of Terror, the original with Karen Black. He Who Kills. Interesting. Now, I will say this. I still really like this sequel, and I think it really, really works as a whole movie and as the Zuni Fetish segment. I would say of these three stories, this is my bottom one, though. Like, and then not by a lot, but I would say it's the weakest for me. Thoughts on this one, though? Thoughts on the return of this legendary horror character?
I think it worked out better than people would have expected. Yeah, maybe even better than it had any right to be. You know what I mean? It's hard to capture that sort of lightning in a bottle twice. But again, pretty good setting, the museum setting. It's different, pretty clever, late at night, some extra other characters involved. And again, like I said, Anthony, a very different character from the first two characters she played. And, like you said, they brought the doll back. They made molds of it. They had, the special effects crew had the first one to kind of go off of and try to improve upon. For as much as you see the thing just like flash across,
Yeah.
But apparently, like, the arms were moving more in this one and stuff. And, it's pretty good overall, for sure.
And also, it takes place right at the end of the first story, which I thought was really unique because it opens up and they just try to redress that apartment to look like Karen Black's apartment in the original. I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, whoa! I was like, this is pretty meta. I like this.
Little continuity in there, a little bit of continuity. Yeah.
Sucker for it.
Still very 90s though. Still like
right.
It's almost kind of interesting, right? Because you have the first one is very 70s. It's and now it's like. You have this direct continuation. So it's a little weird. It's like, wow, it took you guys about 20 years to get home and investigate this because it's very clearly, but that's fine. That aside, I like that it's connected. And although I do wonder, if they'd set this in the 70s, that may have been interesting. Like,
it had to be because her character just died. So this had to be the 70s.
But I'm saying, like, really go all out with that look and make this almost like a period thing. You know what I'm saying? Cool. Because then afterward we get that whole second area where we get a bunch of people being chased by the little killer doll. I like this one too. Basically 3 for 3. Shockingly, I'm with you, Grande. this is maybe my least favorite, but I'm not saying that as like an insult or anything. I liked it. It's just a matter of it being like, if I had to rank it, I think I'd probably put it as number 3 because I like the first 2 segments. But that said, still a very pleasant surprise. I was very happy to see a sequel that I didn't know existed to one of my favorite segments in the first movie. Just overall a really, really great little fun experience. It was great to see the creature back. And I like that there's, like, again, I like the little connections. I like that we find them in the oven and they scrape it off and we get all these little things where it's like, oh, the original doll was under there. And I like hearing from you guys because, again, this movie's mostly a hidden gem for me. So I like hearing from you guys about that, like some of this trivia that like it was actually the original doll and they used all of these things. And again, we get some practical effects. I'm looking forward to getting a DVD or a Blu-ray of this because I have to see it a little bit better and how it moves. Some of the shots seem a little bit interesting where he's just zooming and zipping by the camera, but it's still giving us all of the action that we want from this type of segment. So no complaints. Maybe if I'm forced to give a complaint, we end up with a bit of a similar ending, right? With like
the suitcase,
maybe it.
Yeah,
the suitcase,
right?
And the knife is exactly. Yeah. Now there's a little bit after that with the acid, and in both, I mean, I don't know about you guys. The knife is sawing through. Would you try to grab it? I mean, it does work because it gets under your skin because that's the kind of like hard. Like we've all cut ourselves, we've all done stuff like that. So it kind of it makes you squeamish. But I'm thinking you got to roll duct tape. You can, I don't know.
The towels, like this.
Yeah, you're gonna grab the knife, but and then open the case. But we saw the first movie. She didn't see the first movie.
Yeah,
so, you know what I mean. Like,
that's a question I wanted to ask too, because that's actually I like this segment too. It works, like it's fun. I like to see her actually using her actual accent, right? Her British accent. I thought that was really unique. Like, hey, we'll do one where you're just a British woman. Like, I thought that was actually kind of smart instead of her having her use 3 different American accents.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people throw this complaint at the movie, right? When Dan and I earlier mentioned how Dan Curtis was trying to go back to the well in the 1990s, right, to see what would stick. A lot of people, their criticism of this movie was, well, he remade a segment he already did in the 70s in the Bobby segment. And then this, in a lot of ways, borrows a lot from that original Karen Black segment. There's a lot of rinse, wash, repeat. A lot of people look at this movie, right, 2 of the 3 segments, 66.6% of your movie, as a, rinse, wash, repeat for Dan Curtis, and that's a big criticism of it. While I hear that and I understand that gripe, I don't even argue it, I still think it's entertaining enough and it still works for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I was curious to ask. Very
entertaining. I'm really surprised at actually some of the low ratings that it got, because I went back and read some of them, and it seemed like they weren't even really reacting to the movie itself or really giving it a fair shake. It was just like, oh, Trilogy of Terror 2, here we go again, or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It seemed to have a bad stigma even before people gave it a chance, and I don't understand why with an anthology, because anthology, it's like, your next sequel could be the most fresh thing in the world. It's different stories. Like, let's dude,
it was the 90s. We were all freaking jaded as hell back then.
I guess so.
Right? So like, I don't, maybe that's some of it. Whereas now, not that we're not jaded and cynical now, but like at least among in the horror community, we'll look back at stuff like this and just try to give it a fair shake. I know that's what I did, and be like, hey, I actually like this a whole lot. I recommend this. I'm glad that this exists. I'm glad that this was out there, and I'm glad I checked it out. But you bring up a good point. I think that's a completely valid criticism. I brought up the bit about some of the similarities. I think that's a valid criticism. I wouldn't have wanted to see even more going back to the well if there'd been a third one. That said, I would like to have seen a third one.
That was one of my questions. I have a question about if there was a third one for you.
But that to answer your thing, that would be what I would have to say.
Yeah, no, and like the thing is, it's weird because the first one's remembered forever, and this one, it's like basically thrown under the rug. And I never got that because I always thought this one was just as good, if not literally a better 3 for 3, right? I feel like all 3 segments are really good. So much so, my tradition is I watch this every single Halloween night for the past 8 years running.
Wow.
It's just a Halloween night horror movie. I just love it. It's
Yeah.
fun with friends. It's fun with a bunch of food. And I don't know, it's just always, to me, it's a good like mix too. It's a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
Like it has like the human horror, but then it has monsters and, goblins and the Zuni fetish doll. It's like, I
Good
think
practical effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's we saw in the features, the special effects. One of the guys still had one of the rats.
Yeah.
What I would give for that to have the graveyard rat in my collection, holy shit!
Dude,
I would pay him pretty good money. I don't know what if he did. But let me ask you guys this because I had a couple fun questions. Now, actually, first, how would you rank these three just for Trilogy of Terror Part 2? Where would your rankings go for worst to first here?
Well, the more I think about the Bobby segment, the more I like it, to be quite honest with you. But again, I was more familiar with that story from Dead of Night. But it was just, like I said, it was so well made. So initially I was Graveyard Rats number 1, He Who Kills number 2, Bobby number 3. But I gave all three of them a 4 out of 5.
Which I think is a good rating for all three. I think they're all about that. Like
they're very, similar. And you know what? Just the thing with anthologies, I think it's funny. The anthologies where you have segments that are all pretty good, like Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, for example, sometimes aren't remembered as the ones that are very uneven, but have that one good segment. You know what I mean? So you get Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, which doesn't really have a bad segment, but it might not have that one that's stuck, in your brain.
Look at Creepshow 2. People look at Creepshow 2, and it's always the raft is the one that's mentioned. And it's like the other two never happened. It's like, granted, Old Chief Woodhead, I really like. The lad, the hitchhiker, that one, thanks for the ride, lady. That one's not the greatest. But again, it's like it feels like it's more remembered than a Trilogy of Terror 2, which is
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
because
maybe it's better to be uneven as an anthology. It's so weird. The more roll,
right.
Lost.
Because I would, to be honest, I would give Millicent and Teresa probably a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, 2 for both of Karen Black's personalities in it.
Yeah,
that's about it, right? How about you, Anthony? What would your rankings of the 3 segments in Trilogy of Terror 2?
Oh, okay. So you're ranking the 3 from the second one. I think I'd have to go with Mr. Dan. I feel like Bobby would be on top, and then I think I would go with the first segment, and then we'd put our Zuni fetish doll in third.
So I'm in that. I'm Bobby, Graveyard Rats.
That would be it. Yeah, but those first and second segments, they're kind of tied. But I would edge Bobby over it because it's tackling some heavy subject matter, but it's doing it really well, and it's delivering on the horror. Not that the other one doesn't do that, but it's just overall. And it's funny too because when you compare this to the other one, we have that middle segment that's just dragging it down, and I think maybe that's why you're saying you like this one better. For me, Karen Black is what's still tipping that other one over, into maybe I feel like I prefer the first one overall better, but it's because of Karen Black. I don't know, man. It's a tough question, but it's a fun question.
Yeah. It is. And I have man, you mentioned that makes me think of an unplanned question. Just a quick one. Karen Black was still very well active in 1996. Yeah. Would you have liked to have seen her return here?
At least in a supporting role in some capacity.
Yeah.
In some capacity.
Because I wasn't spoiled, I was half thinking she'd show up at some point when I dove into it, and I was like, I don't see her in the credits. Maybe there's some uncredited role. So I was a little bit disappointed to not see her in it at all. Because again, this was a totally new one for me. I had no research, no nothing. I just went in blind and was pleasantly surprised by it. I don't know, like I said, Anthony, is that her name? She does a really surprisingly good job here. I almost liked the fresh take. As much as I'm geeking out over Karen Black on the first movie, I almost like that they handed it over to somebody different. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we already got so many similarities between the two movies that maybe just having a different actress helps differentiate them a little bit better.
I think so too. Yeah, I think it was the right move to give it to a young up-and-comer like Lisette Anthony. And again, Karen Black cameo might have been interesting. Imagine at the end of the He Who Kills, if let's say at the end of He Who Kills, right, she kills and doesn't open the acid lid, right? Imagine she goes to the door and it's Karen Black, you know, with just the teeth and just watching through the window. And that's how it, could you imagine how cool that would have been? Like, end it with the image of Karen Black in the window.
And for her, like, that's like what, one day of shooting, she comes in, easy payday. You see that with other actors, right? You can just tell they show up in a movie or something like that, or a TV show. You can tell it was like a one-day shoot, and they, you know, that could have been done.
Yeah, it could have been a nice little surprise and a little wink to, like, hey, remember the first one, you know? But I guess this had a lot of that too for people, which that's kind of a big criticism of it. Now, my big question here was a hypothetical. Let's say, now, obviously, I know Dan Curtis has sadly passed on. May he rest in peace. You know, a lot of the collaborators and Karen Black and so on and so forth have sadly passed on. Let's say a studio, a television company came to you and they said, Mr. Dan, or they said Anthony, or they said John Grande, and they said, we're going to give you the keys to the kingdom on a Trilogy of Terror 3. My question to you, fine gentlemen, is who would you want your lead actress to be? And yes, it can be anyone in the current market. It has to be someone that's alive still, obviously, because, you know, we mentioned so many people that have passed on. A current actress to lead your Trilogy of Terror 3 movie. Because I posted this on the Instagram community, got a lot of colorful answers. I can share them, but I don't want to throw off your answers.
Yeah.
Do you want to think on it? And I'll read a couple.
Yeah, I'll think on that one a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the Bobby segment wasn't really mean to be overthought. I think it was just playing off real life fear that every parent has of, am I a good parent or am I screwing up my kid? And also the general fear of loss that a parent has. Yeah, I think, again, that's the beauty of that segment. It's her, like her looking out the window, like checking the water, looking for him, and like the sorrow in the beginning. That's really good stuff where it's like the regret and the desperation in her eyes. And then when you get it, she's like, oh, you know, whatever you want, I'll do whatever you want, until Bobby wants to do what he wants to do. And then it's not okay anymore. Third story feels like it could be an episode of Friday the 13th. Feels like it could be a episode of the Friday the 13th or X-Files series. Speaking of which, there was an episode, Chinga, that involves an evil doll. Interesting. He Who Kills is the best, in my opinion. I thought it was clever how they picked up the end of the first story and then created a new story. The Hitchhiker is my favorite segment. Thanks for the ride, lady. Tom Wright, who also shows up in Tales from the Hood. Really cool one. Missy does mention one that was widely mentioned on Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mia Goth. I don't know if that was one of your answers, but that was the top answer on Instagram.
To be honest, she popped into my head first, but she's I don't want to say she's overexposed, but she's probably overexposed. I mean,
it's because of the recent trilogy, you know.
Exactly.
That's why it's inevitable to come to mind. And I actually think she's like really good, and
she's
good. Could see her doing that. Like, it could be an answer, like, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I actually thought of Miyaka Monroe.
Oh, okay. I like that pick. Tell us why, Mr. Dan.
She's talented, you know. It Follows.
Long Legs.
Yeah. What was it? Greta. She had a supporting role in that one, I think. She's just talented.
Watchers, something like that.
Yeah, she's very The Guest. Was she in The Guest?
She's in The Guest, yes, with Dan.
Yeah, she's in The Guest, right? Yeah, she's talented. I you know, and I think she's had. Maybe this is why I think she's been a blonde and she's been a brunette, and you know, in different movies. And there's been a couple times when I was like, oh wait, is that her? You know, so I could see her pulling it off for sure.
I love that pick. Nobody said her on Instagram. That's
really?
An absolute fantastic pick. And I think if she's comfortable in horror, can make herself look unique. She could look beautiful. She could look unbeautiful. Like, I think that's a great call, Mr. Dan. I'm actually kind of jealous I didn't think of that first. That's a good pick. What about you, Anthony? Are you leaning Mia, or you got somebody else on your?
I would go for somebody seasoned who we also know from horror, and I would go with maybe for like a Kathy Bates, just for that.
So, hold on. Just to preface, this would be Kathy Bates right now in 2026. You would not get the young Kathy Bates. Okay,
because I would want to see her do that variety. Because I would want to see like an Annie Wilkes kind of monster. I'd want to see something like that. But I'd also like to see her do a couple of different things and variety in the performance. And I think she could do that. And I feel like I mainly know her from horror, unfortunately. And I'd like to see her, like, you know, flex those acting chops. And I think that she could be a kind of pick for this. Yeah, something like this. I think could be fun. But I mean, all of these other picks I could see too. So yeah, it would be great.
I can share some of the ones that people mentioned on Instagram because there were some good, interesting picks. But Kathy Bates one, nobody said that either. That's a really interesting pick. And like to me, like I guess the instant thought is to go to somebody young up and coming, right? Because again, Karen was young up and coming, and the set was young up and coming. But I like getting a vet in there like Kathy Bates. She would hit a home run with this. You just know it. Like she'd have a blast.
That's what I'm thinking because we've already seen like a young like two younger people take this on, and I don't know. I think a vet only. I think not because she's also good, but also just a little bit to help differentiate from the first two.
Yeah, no, completely. So some of the ones that people said on Instagram I thought were interesting. So we got a vote for Miley Cyrus, which I thought was the craziest pick. But I could see it because, again, all the wigs that woman has worn over the years, the crazy, like she could totally do crazy eyes, crazy intense. Like I think Miley Cyrus would not be a bad fucking pick. I read it and I went, what? And then I thought about it. I was like, honestly, I could fucking see it. Like I could really see it. Produced by the Disney Channel. Maybe that would be the third Trilogy of Terror, Disney Channel original movie.
Well, I think that's an interesting pick because it's so out there and radical and different that you're like, okay, well, I have to pay attention now, you know?
Yeah, because when I look, I was like, are they trolling? And then I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, and literally everything she's in, I feel like she's always got a wig on or something. So like, yeah, I could totally see that too. Jessica Roth was one that someone had picked from the Happy Death Day movies. I think she's super talented as well. And then we had a lot of vets, believe it or not, like Nev Campbell was picked. I think somebody picked Glenn Close, which I thought was I was like, wow, that's another curveball and a half there. But like, I appreciate some people went with the veteran actors, like instead of the up-and-comers.
It would be interesting to have 3 stories though, with a much older actress though. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
It would have to be, you couldn't have a Graveyard Rats type story with an older actor.
Kathy Bates crawled through the fucking halls.
They'd both be in a wheelchair. No.
You're the devil. She's just yelling at the rats. You're the devil. She's calling them all the devil and she's getting eaten alive. That would be fucking hysterical. My pick though, I went really close to home because I actually know this person, and it would be a dream. Actually, I didn't say this to her, but I said this to the editor when the short movie I did, the Down by the Bay. The girl that I had play the antagonist, the woman in yellow, Courtney Gilmore. Great local actress. Just love her. Loved working with her. And I'll never forget when we were editing that together in the editing room. We were watching some of her performance, some of the rough cuts and stuff. And I just turned to Mark, and I remember saying, I was like, if I ever did a Trilogy of Terror 3, this would be my Karen Black. I was like, because again, just such a good, like, could play evil, could play sympathy, can play all these different types of emotions. And then also, like, I've seen her change her hair tons of times just in real everyday life. So I was like, man, this would be a dream come true if I ever got the green light to do Trilogy of Terror 3 with a young up-and-comer and Courtney. Like, that would be a dream come true for me. So shout out to her. I don't think she watches these, but it's been too long, and I hope all is well. But that would be, in a perfect world, in a dream world, be Courtney Gilmore in my Trilogy of Terror 3 if I ever got to do it. So that'd be a pretty cool one.
Did anybody pick Danielle Harris?
Nobody picked Danielle Harris.
That's a good pick too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, there was a couple other names that got batted around. There was one other like horror, like vet woman, not Jamie Lee, not Ned.
Yeah, that's another one that came to mind if you're going to think of the seasoned and older actresses. Yeah.
Jamie Lee in the 70s, 80s, yeah. Jamie Lee now, I don't think so. Like again, I agree with Dan. It would be so much harder to do this with an older actress. I think that's why, I think the fun of it is the up and comer in it. It's somebody that's relatively unknown, because if it's somebody like super super well known, it's like, oh, okay, that's just Angelina Jolie. That's just like you can't really non-distinguish them. Whereas with Lysette Anthony, you really can. It's like. I don't know. At least it works in that way. Joe Mama's in the house. Yo, what's up, Joe Mama? She's calling them names like Paul Sheldon in Misery. Yeah, that's right. You dirty birdie. I just think Jessica Roth would be perfect age because she could play younger, older characters, showed a lot of range. Yeah, no, Jessica Roth's a good pick. Vera Farmiga, interesting pick there.
Hey, yes.
I like that. I like that too. That's another interesting one that I didn't think of. Mia Goth came up, like literally, I think 10 people said Mia Goth, and I was like, okay, it makes sense because the X trilogy for sure. But do you think, I guess in closing, do you think we'll ever get a Trilogy of Terror 3, or is that just it dies with Dan Curtis and let it be?
I mean, I don't.
It may just come down to like a rights thing. Who owns the rights to this franchise or this series? It may be just more of a boring technical legal thing like that. Where if somebody could just buy it, I don't know if they would do a 3. Although a part 3 would be awesome at this point because then you'd get your trilogy. And
it's weird. The Trilogy of Terror is a duology. It's not a trilogy.
Yeah, right? Man. But like going by nowadays, it's like they would just reboot everything. It just seems like that would be the way to go if they get the rights to that name. I don't know. I kind of hope we do. I hope we get one. I don't think we will, but I hope we get one.
Yeah, my fingers are crossed. I think it would be really cool if it one day did happen. But I don't know. We could dream. A man can dream. This has been a lot of fun, guys. I just wanted to ask, obviously, in wrapping up here, what do you guys have planned coming for the channels? Mr. Dan, do you have anything coming up that you're planning on doing?
Just my sort of normal rotation. I have physical media Friday videos. I haven't had a martial arts Monday video in a while, but I'm going to get back to that soon. And then I've been getting more into Westerns. By the way, Richard Matheson apparently wrote a couple of Westerns novels.
Oh,
I mean, the guy wrote like everything.
Yeah,
somebody showed a couple copies that they picked up of old paperbacks of his stories. I was like, wow. But on Instagram. But I do some of those. And then just whenever the occasional horror review. Typically in October, I do some kind of different content. I do like Hong Kong horror movies and stuff like that. So I kind of gear up for that ahead of time. But I do have one quick question though.
Oh yeah.
For both of you guys. But like I said, hard to capture lightning in a bottle, right? So you have He Who Kills, and then you also have the sequel to not It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Good Life?
It's a Good Life. You have the sequel to It's a Good Life with Will Mummy.
It's
right?
a Wonderful Life.
It's still a good life, right?
Yes.
Which one does a better job of following up on the original?
I like He Who Kills better, but I think that's also because I think it's more sacrilegious to do a sequel to It's Still a Good Life. Like I feel like you can't make a sequel to that. Like it's just the performances of the parents, of the adult actors in that, and their fear of him is some of the best acting you'll ever see. It truly makes you fearful. That's what I think is so good about the original It's a Good Life episode. Not that the sequel's bad. It was like him and his daughter, right? And they both
it was surprisingly good, I thought. Actually.
It was one and done.
Yeah.
I don't remember it that much. I have to you know what? I have to rewatch it, Mr. Dan. I get back to you for sure. But what did you think, Anthony? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think it was surprisingly good. It's a tough question. I really do think to give a fair answer, I'd have to give a rewatch on it. I do remember liking it more than I thought I would, though.
Right.
And it was a pretty good follow-up, and I like that we got back. At least the mom, right, was still in it, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So that was like a nice connection too, and I think that was his real life daughter. So it was. That was. It had a strong opening. I think he just. Was it the daughter or him? They just set somebody on fire in like the first.
Yeah, he said. I think he did, but then the grandma realized that the daughter was having powers too, and she was trying to scheme, and she was planning on using her to wrest control from him.
Yeah,
but yeah, it probably better than it deserved to be.
Yeah.
That's why I thought both together. Yeah.
Okay.
When I first saw it, I was like, "What the hell? Like they did a sequel to this? Like really?" I got mad at first, and then I watched it. I was like, "It's all right." Like,
right.
That's another fun rabbit hole because other than these two, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like in terms of anthologies, I don't think we have too many sequels. That could be a fun separate stream to think about. However, we want to get together again. Or
wow, you're right. It really isn't.
like off the top of my head, maybe the chat would know, but I can only think of those two, the two that we happen to be talking about.
Right.
I feel like there has to be more. There does have to be more
remakes. Yes,
Right, the Twilight Zone movie is full of them, right? They even remade It's a Good Life in the Twilight Zone movie and the Nightmare of 20,000 Feet.
Yeah.
Like,
not too many follow-ups.
Right.
Maybe that's why the Trilogy of Terror 2 like really struck me. I was like, wow, we don't see this. We just don't see a lot of sequels.
Damn, you guys stumped me. I can't think of any. This is crazy.
I can't think of any other ones either.
I'll be driving to work tomorrow. I'll be like, fuck it, that one. I mean, like, bumper traffic. I'll be like, damn it, I got to tell somebody.
Yeah. Cool. Good question, though, and it brings up a good thought because now we'll check into that after the show. I'm actually curious. Sequels to anthology episodes. Coming up for me tomorrow, real quick. I'll say over on the Cinema Squad channel, if everything works out well, we'll be ranking the 4 big nerd TV superhero shows that were on recently: Daredevil, Invincible, The Boys, which had its finale last night. I won't give any spoilers. And Maul, the Star Wars show that was over on Disney Plus. So we're gonna rank those, Jason and I, and we'll see which ones we like, which one we didn't like, which one we hated, and it should be a fun conversation. Over on my channel now, more horror related. I did a Night Gallery review recently of Rod Serling's Escape Route, which was very fascinating. And coming up, I'd like to cover The Cemetery. I figure I may as well finish out the pilot Night Gallery at this point. Yeah. And I have a Tales from the Crypt top 10 in progress. So looking forward to it. And thank you for this opportunity to even, get some plugs out there, Grundy. And more than that, thank you for the opportunity, both of you guys. This has been a pleasure. This has been awesome and it's been fun. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Both of you are more than welcome whenever you guys want to come on. If you ever want to just shoot the breeze, or even if you have ideas, just all throw them my way. I'm always open to hearing them. And I'm happy we got to make up, because I couldn't join you guys at the Night Gallery thing. So I'm more than happy to have you on here and talk all things Trilogy of Terror. So this was a lot of fun. So thank you both for making the time tonight. This was a lot of fun. If you're catching the replay down below in the chat, let us know what Trilogy of Terror story is your favorite from the first or second film. Let us know, even if you want to rank all 6 segments, how you'd rank them. Coming up on my channel this Saturday morning, I'll be interviewing Lauren Ashley Carter. Very excited for that. My very first actor or actress interview on here. That's going to be pre-recorded, so you won't see that thing until probably June, because obviously she has a different time zone than me. So I'm going to have to pre-record that, and then I'll edit some maybe a clip or two in there, or posters and stuff like that, and we'll get that out. And then next week it is Black Mirror seasons 5 and 6 ranked and reviewed. So I'm very much forward to that. And plus the June schedule will drop sometime probably next Sunday. So everybody, thank you so much for joining here tonight, guys. Thank you guys so much for being awesome guests. This was a lot of fun. Also, as always, thank you so much. Have a great night, gentlemen. Absolutely. Everybody have a safe, happy, healthy weekend, and we will catch you next time only on The Graveyard. R.I.P. Dan Curtis, R.I.P. Blake Heron, R.I.P. Karen Black, and everyone else involved in this movies. Cheers to a safe, happy, healthy weekend, guys. Good night.
Good night, guys.